taste. I'm feeling lonely, so I hope she stay. I'm confident when I'm drinking rain. I hope you get a taste. I'm feeling lonely, so I hope she stay. I'm confident when I'm drinking rain. I hope you get a taste. I'm feeling lonely, so I hope she stay. I'm confident when I'm drinking rain. I hope you get a taste.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the PlayStation Cup featuring Fortnite. You already know we are here to celebrate the wonderful PlayStation tournaments that they are hosting. Sony, big shout out. PlayStation, big shout out. And of course, big shout out to my boy Ben. Ben and Panda on the mic for the finals today. Really exciting stuff. Ben, talk to us about how you're feeling about this Fortnite event.
Man, I mean, PlayStation comes to play time and time again, man. Top of the top competition here on console. These are some of the best controller players you're going to see on the planet. The competition's top notch. The qualifiers have already concluded, but we're here for the finals today. It's the best of the best. These guys have worked super hard to make it up until this point. We've got 6 games of action coming your way soon.
Well, let's break it all down for the people at home. Let's talk about the format. Let's talk about how the players got here and what they're all competing for. So, of course, to start it off, if you didn't know already, the players that are in this finals had to go through 2 qualifiers. Those qualifiers qualified them on to the final event today. Now, the bigger piece of all this, of course, is it is a solo event, meaning there are 100 players per match, and there are going to be 6 games in total played today. But you may be asking, what are these players playing for? Well, it's incredible prizing. Ben, break down the prize pool.
We say incredible prizing. We're not kidding, guys. It's $50,000 in total. This is not a small chunk of change for these players. Coming from console here, they have the opportunity to take home some big cash. First place, $4,000, breaking down even further. Second place, $2,500. Third place, $1,500. But the biggest thing today, I think, to note, Panda, everyone's taking home some money, all the way down to $240 for 51st through 100th. Everyone has worked hard to make it to this point. Everyone's getting rewarded. It's just a matter of trying to fight for that top spot.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, you might be asking yourself, how will they get the top spot, right? What does the point system look like in this? Well, we got you covered. It is going to be 2 points per elimination. Yes, every elimination is going to grant a team or a solo player 2 points. Now, there is points in just being alive. Staying alive is the name of the game, in my opinion, because, as you see on the screen now, the Sweet Victory Royale grants you 60 total points. So, if you're a player in this, yes, eliminations are important, but you already know you gotta go for the Victory Royale, because 60 points is gonna put you right up there in that top spot. But look, it's no easy task, right? These are the best of the best that have competed throughout the qualifying process to get to here today. So it's going to be an exciting, chaotic, and wonderful time watching the PlayStation tournament and the PlayStation Cup break down. But Ben, you and I had a chance to catch up, play some games earlier today, and chaotic is the perfect word for this season. There's so much going on here in the game. So how do you think some of that's going to play out in the PlayStation Cup?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone at home had the chance to watch some of these qualifiers going into the finals today, you'd know that we're not kidding. I mean, chaos is an understatement. The new meta this season has introduced so many new mechanics that players really haven't been exposed to in the past. You have a lot of these power-up, superpower abilities that are in the loot pool today. We'll break those down as we actually start to get into game. But again, they all provide unique mobility options, different kind of aggressive tactics if you're trying to get into players' boxes, or even beyond that, a lot of new different bailout mobility items that allow you to dip and dodge in and out of engagements to try and stay alive to, again, make it into those later placement zones. And we kind of talked to this just a second, right? You mentioned how 60 points per Victory Royale. That's no small chunk of change. And with the meta today, 20th place is 30 points in placement. That's, casters are notoriously not great at math, but 15 eliminations just to get to 20th place. I don't know about you, Panda, but I'm playing for placement, and this meta really allows players to do so.
Well, look, I mean, we've seen it time and time again in these PlayStation events. There are some aggressive players that'll stand out. There's the Akiras of the world that show up in these PlayStation events and always frag out, get elimination after elimination.
Oh, yeah.
But in this format, it's got to challenge even the best fighters to take a step back and be like, hey, is it worth it? Do I really need to take all these fights? No. You need to stay alive, focus on the prize that is that Victory Royale, because that's what's going to grant you the bigger piece of that chunk of change. That is that total prize pool of $50,000. I can't stress that enough, even though, to be fair, the people that showed up today, they're going to be walking away with a nice chunk of change. But Regardless, the top spot is the goal. Who's going to walk away with it? We're just moments away from finding out as we get ready to start game number 1. But before we do, I got to challenge you, Ben. We played this morning and we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but what is your favorite weapon in the current chapter?
You know, it might not be a player favorite, but for me personally,
Okay.
right, I have like a pretty strong zero build background. Don't judge me too much. But again, right, I like to rely on my aim, and that Spire rifle, that 50 round magazine, it might have a slow fire rate, but it can pack a punch. But we're just getting word now, Panda, game 1 is ready.
Yeah, let's get into it. Game number 1 underway. I gotta say, of the last few chapters, this map is my favorite. Crime City, Outlaw Oasis, Shiny Shafts. These spots have felt more unique than we've seen, I think, ever in Fortnite history when it comes to the way they've built out these spaces. So shout out to the Fortnite team for bringing us some really cool stuff to the map. But let's go ahead and dive in. Looking at the way this is splitting, though, wow. There are a lot of people who go into the left side of the map, so it'll be interesting to see how much chaos unfolds here early on, but you won't have to wait as Crew Yor is the first one we're going to be tuning in with as he dives on into his POI of choice.
And Electro picking up that first elimination in the feed there in the top left. You guys keep your eyes out for that. Look for your favorite players there. They'll be racking up eliminations. And Electro finding 2 early on, clearing out that drop spot to secure the loot. We see Gord here at Brutal Boxcars, fully uncontested. Maybe a solo in the distance, but again, not wanting to really overextend too much early on in the tournament. Of course, we have 6 games to go. You want to get a feel for what the rest of the lobby is doing. Are they going to be playing hyper aggressive? Are players going to be contesting those more valuable drop spots? You really don't know. Depending on what qualifier you made your way to the finals through, this might be some of the first time these players are going up against each other.
You're absolutely right. And a notable name, of course, we got to talk about Cade going down there early on. He is a staple of the PlayStation community. So him going down at this point in time is a bit of a shocker, but don't worry, there's still 5 more games to play out in this one, so nothing and no one is down and out quite yet.
Lots of action to unfold here, but again, I think we do need to take a moment to mention, taking a look into Grims' inventory here, this cloak and gauntlet combo. You'll see this cape in so many players' inventories today. It's going to be the mobility item of choice this season. We'll get a better look at it later on as we get into the later zones. But just keep your eyes out for now as we get into an early game fight here. A little bit of a shoulder peek over the top of the wall. Zay taking a lot of damage. The aggressor, but not able to come out on top. Going down early in game number 1. Outlaw Oasis. Lots of action early on.
You know, it looked like a little bit of nerves coming into play there for Zay, but no worries. Again, 5 matches still left on the table. No one is down and out of this one, but Liquid, what you doing? 1. That's the name in front of us now as they are just moseying on around. Not too much friction in their future, I believe, even though there are a few players close. Looks like everybody's going to just go ahead and begin to position up, make sure they have the materials and loot they need, and then make their way to the mid and late.
Flooded Frogs. What you know about Flooded Frogs, Panda? It's like my favorite drop spot, I think, this season. Has that little secret vault down in the water.
Okay.
Hey, that's a little secret tech for players at home that may not know. There's some loot over there. If you aren't looking too closely, you can find it. It's usually left untouched, but Baby Boy Bot stuck on the back foot here for a moment with 0 materials left and no health. Trying to make something happen. You're connecting with that 2 shots with the Outlaw shotgun. Flipping the ramp, back into some old builds to buy some time. Neither player on much HP, but giving Baby Boy Bot just enough time to pop those minis. You can hear the opponent popping the big pot just above here. Some time to pop the bandages. Again, these early game fights, there's plenty of games going on. They don't have to commit to this early on other than to take down some Storm Surge. Slows down just slightly. Koi off the right hand, gonna get that damage off. Again, this is solos. You don't have a teammate to back you up. You have to make sure that every peek counts and straight into the box. Baby Boy Bot, no mats. Has to try and catch him off guard here. Does move back up towards the high ground, but again, the player wants to try and close it. The health is just so close. The trades are completely even. Baby Boy Bot does not want to let this game go to waste.
Yeah, this is tough. No material puts Baby Boy Bot in a rough spot. That's why you see them playing pretty passive. They're just kind of using what they have in their established builds, staying out of sight, out of mind, hoping that the other player will just go ahead and give up, rotate away, but doesn't look like it's going to be the case. I think they're starting to catch on here that Baby Boy Bot does not have what they need to be successful in this fight. And so maybe we see a fight get forced here. All it would take is them breaking some of the builds around, and instantly Baby Boy Bot would be in trouble.
Seems like that fight will slowly dissipate out as players start to make their way into the next zones. O-Block Talk taking a lot of damage here. That Deadeye sniper rifle does so much damage, or DMR. One of the few weapons in the loot pool right now that has that ADS capability. But again, if you can connect those shots, you can do some serious damage. We see Crims that we saw earlier on find an elimination, and Baby Boy Bot, they find the elimination, will be sent back to the lobby. O-Block Talk trying to make sure they don't have the same fate.
I mean, I don't blame him. Look, we talked about it, Baby Boy Bot. Unfortunately, as soon as you're out of materials, you don't have what it takes to defend yourself, and you're just going to be in a tough spot. But for Silo Baby, a different baby nonetheless, they're still in it, right outside of the crossing, just trying to figure out what they want to do. But, oh, this is one of those sweet spots on the map that just gifts you pretty much everything you can possibly need. If you can't get a decent loadout from this spot right now, I don't know what you're doing.
I'll say Silo Baby, little bit of a rough run there. Open all the chests, still stuck with an Outlaw though. Not my favorite shotgun in the loot pool right now. Like you'll kind of see most of the players choosing to stay away from this thing whenever they possibly can. It's great at close range, and by close range I mean point blank, but other than that, it's really not super useful. So we'll have to continue to try and make this work. Save some materials early on. Arctic's Hyper, again, we'll talk about that cloak. Straight into the inventory. That'll be the bailout whenever they need it. And that DMR. We see lots of players opting to use this item in early game to try and get some of the surge damage taken care of. It can be useful in those closer range fights, but again, it's just not going to be as helpful as, say, a Fury AR or pretty much anything else.
I mean, that's fair, right? Like I feel like the loot disparity this chapter has been a little wonky, right? And what I mean by wonky is that there's not a ton of balance, right? It's not like you pick up everything and you feel like, okay, maybe I have a shot. There are some things in this loot pool that if you pick up, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna have a tough time making it off spawn if I don't find something else.
Yeah, you're cooked. You need to try and take somebody out. Find that elimination early, and Kruyor wanting to do that here. Finding success earlier on in this lobby, straight into the box, takes the wall. Conan finds that elimination in the right time, just on edge zone. That'll be a full elimination and a little bit of an emote there. The BM starting early.
Kruyor is one of those names that we are familiar with in the PlayStation environment. We've seen him before, and I'm sure we're going to see him again after that movement right there and that elimination. You already know they are here not just to play, but they are here to win.
And these PlayStation Cups, a lot of these players now have made it to the finals consistently. They start to recognize each other. I'm sure there's some rivals going on here as the weeks go on, but up on the high ground, T. Drudy down and out. Quick elimination there from distance, gets cracked. And I love you, Tony, cleaning that up there, finding that exotic shotgun. Again, there are so many overpowered weapons in this loot pool, especially when you start to look at some of these sprites that are in as well. You have the Dash sprite, you have the Superman sprite. There's plenty of items here that can shake up these players' strategies and allow them to play to their strengths.
Looking at this, you see DK just kind of playing it passive. This is the what we should expect here for the next few minutes is the players in the cones looking around, gathering intel, and just trying to stay alive. This is what will ultimately make for the crazier end game, right? That these moments that, while in the moment feel a little slower, lead to what is the fun, the chaos, and the excitement of those final few zones in Fortnite. And so far this game is chalking up to be another stacked one. So I can't wait until we get into those final moments.
I mean, with third zone just revealing itself with 80 players up, Storm Surge is going to start to become an effect here. And for anyone at home who's not familiar, basically, if you play too passively and sit in your box and do nothing the whole game, you will be punished. You need to make sure that you're playing aggressively. You need to deal some damage to some of the opponents on the map, because if you don't, Storm Surge will activate, and we'll see some here in a little while. Purple Lightning will start to rain down, and there's nothing you can do about it. I love you, Tony, taking care of that elimination early on and trying to take care of some of this extra loot as well, throwing some big pots up and over the mountain to try and fortify a base and a strategic position here up on high ground. This will give him a great view for the rest of the map. Wants to hold on to these as much as possible. And again, you might not be able to take them with you, but from this spot in zone can start to peek over and maybe play a little bit more aggressive to look for more damage.
So much on the table here for them. And you know, you brought up a good point with Surge. Yes, it is going to play a factor, but I feel like this meta has the most like Surge capable weapons we've seen in a while.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, yes, Surge will be a factor for some, but if Surge is a factor for you, it's because you're not doing something right. Like,
yeah.
Literally, this meta has built out exactly like the blueprint of Fortnite, which is play the game early, get what you need, get the loot, get materials, etc. Survive right to the mid game, get into the mid game. If you didn't do any damage off spawn, your focus then is doing damage, opening the box, using that DMR and those other weapons that stand out, and get those little tags, right? Because every little tag adds up. And I think at the end of the day, if you know how to play Fortnite, which the players that have made it to this lobby do, you're going to have a hard time finding yourself in Surge's grasp.
Most of these players taking care of it early on or just picking up an elimination. If you're contested here, you have to remember this is solos. There's only so many drop spots available to players on the map, especially when you don't have a teammate to back you up and try and take control of more loot and more chests at a POI. So most of the time you end up having to fight for most of your loot. You see this player here trying to look over the top in zone, waiting out here at Supernova Academy, one of the hottest drops on the map to date. Dashes in inventory, so no issues there. Using that Sprite will allow them to get right back into zone as it starts to move, but it's starting to tick pretty heavy here. It seems like it's moving quickly. It's still for one, but once it starts to close, things can get a little bit more concerning. Has a chug jug. Just gonna try and ditch this, honestly. I respect the aggression to try and look for it, but at some point you do have to try and disengage.
Yeah, I mean, again, we've seen these PlayStation events before, right? Like, we know that some of these players are just uber aggressive and disengage isn't in their forte. But at the same time, I feel like with the way that healing works in the game now and the different med items that you can pick up, it's never been easier to play the Storm. So it's all over the place. I feel like this version of Fortnite is by far obviously the most developed, but the most tournament friendly that we've seen in a while.
Absolutely. Especially when you're able to use DMRs like this to get 85 tags off, but a big shot onto Himothy. Luckily, the 400 chug jug, 2 in inventory. So not going to have any problems there. Just go ahead and burn one of these early game to try and get those tags. And then you can grab some minis as the game moves on, because everyone's going to be carrying some minis. DK, a similar situation, though, that 2 chug jugs with the dash sprite. But again, this is the loadout that some of those more traditional late game players are going to see. They have that Sentinel pump in inventory and then that Spire rifle, just because it deals so much damage at distance and it has 50 rounds in the magazine. You can hold players just like this, stuck in the storm here, throwing down the med mist smoke grenade, trying to heal it the best they can. But King wants a piece of it, trying to find this damage. Not going to let the player carry on. Looking for some scraps, but really nothing left behind.
That's tough. That is tough. But That's the hand you're dealt sometimes here when you're playing in the storm. You're playing late, right? You're just trying to hope to survive. And for King here, they do not have what I was talking about moments ago, the heals and the stuff that you need to be able to play the storm. No, looks like King is going to be in a spot where they have to move and risk getting tagged, or they need to take a fight, get the elimination, and hopefully get enough to make their way out of the storm. Either way, we'll have to wait and see. Nice little sprite there. If you don't know, when you activate that sprite on the ground, it actually gives you those dashes we see Tony using. So definitely a cool little addition to the game. Gotta love the thoughtfulness that comes into this stuff. But now the fight is on. The Sparkle himself went to go take the fight, but immediately was like, I'm not quite in zone. This isn't worth it. Let me just get to moving.
So especially at this point in the game, right? You've already seen Surge pop once. You're about to go into 6th zone. The game is almost halfway over, and there's still 74 players alive. It's going to start to get a lot more cramped in these zones as they continue to close, and Surge coming back into the mix as well. So players start to try and make plays on you more frequently, so you have to play as safely as possible. DK doing a great job, though, putting pressure on this lobby to kind of carve out their rotate on the backside of zone. Noise, again, trying to tunnel right over towards this player. Maybe they got a tag. Again, wants to take the box fight, though. Getting lobby focused just a little bit. The player trying to look for a disengage. A couple of boxes away, but Noise not going to let them do so. Trying to make it painfully obvious that he wants to take this fight. Smacking right on the wall. Cone in, the player's out. They really do not want any piece of this, especially 59 damage below here. Noise needs this desperately.
Oh, this is going to be tough. If you're on the opposite side of this fight here, it's going to be a potential lights out for you as Noise going ahead, pushing into the box. Doesn't quite find what they need. Going to go ahead and back off a little bit. But looking at the inventory, Noise doesn't have a ton of material to play the rest of this game out. So they are going to need a refresh. Not only for Surge, but they're going to need it just to be able to play out the rest of the game, because they do not have the material they need to find any level of success going into the next few zones.
And anyone who didn't try and get aggressive early on is now in this exact same position as Ian here. 61 damage below, trying to catch a player, maybe trying to peek, maybe trying to trade some damage, but not winning the trades there. Getting damage dealt instead, and the lobby will continue to deal damage to them. Noise still trying to find a way into the box. Does manage to do so straight in. The shotgun shot. The player's on 1 HP. That takes care of the Storm Surge, but can he get the refresh? He will.
Wow.
That will be the Siphon and all the extra goodies to try and play out the rest of the game.
Noise is doing his job here in this one. Gonna go ahead and get ahead of the Storm Surge and get the refresh he needs. We'll have to keep a close tab on him, but also keeping a tab on what Ian's got going on. Big shots coming out, but big misses as well, as Sparkle's gonna be able to just get away. But shots, as always, attracting other players to get into the fold. One other player just above, I believe that is Baby. Looking on the other side of the wall, that's gonna be some trouble there too, but again, players finding themselves in Storm. We talked about it, right? It has never been easier to play the Storm, but if you got Storm Surge taken away as well at the same time, I'm sorry, man, but that's just not going to work.
Yeah, this is going to be a rough rotate for sure. With Storm taking 1 medkit in inventory, realistically, probably needs a triple headshot, a player in zone. I don't know. It's not looking too hot. I'm going to be completely honest with you. 142 damage below. Really does need the double dink and the rotate. Might see a player's early exit here. The first to go down to Storm with 0 eliminations. That's a rough first game. Again, you get a feel for how the lobby looks, but not the points you're looking for. O-Block Talk, though, still in this game, and here comes the Cloak and Gauntlets. This is exactly what we're talking about. Activate the Raven Swarm, and nobody can shoot you. You can use it to disengage during box fights. You can use it during rotates. It's the perfect weapon if you know when to time it properly. You only have a certain number of charges, but again, it can be super helpful here. O-Block Talk, though, found that 1 elimination early on, but not enough damage in total. Taking away here, trying to get the lobby to start spraying with them to get that damage to connect.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're all hoping for, right? They're hoping that when you open up your wall there and you go for some shots, something connects, or you attract the volume of the rest of the lobby to shoot in the same direction as you. On the catch side of that, you can also become the target. So you
Yep.
really have to be careful. And oh no, one of the players we've been keeping a close tab on, Sparkle, is going to be down and out here in game number 1. But don't fret, still lots more action to go as we switch over the focus to Remington. Remington, interestingly enough, doesn't have a ton to work with as far as weapons go, but otherwise seems like a solid spot. May end up just trying to avoid the fights if they can, because with that loadout, it's going to be tough to take some people out.
Everyone really starting to burn those utility items, all those heals starting to disappear. You might have looked stacked earlier on in the game, but now you might be left with nothing. O-Block Talk, that exact situation. 11 points on the board now. Placement is rolling as we start to enter that top 20, or sorry, top 42. I was saying top 20, but the game's barely started. O-Block Talk, though, will carve out this little channel here on the low ground. We are moving through Crime City. Everyone packed in on this side of the city itself. There is a massive dead side to this zone, and nobody's taking advantage of it.
Here it is, folks, the final moments we talked about before. The chaos starting to unfold. This is what you love to see as everybody finds himself on top of each other. But there's one lone player in the distance that has not only the side by themselves, but they have pulled zone. This is what you want if you are this player. So for the rest of the lobby, like Mike, they are going to have to start moving. Mike 12 Montana needs to make a play. Does have the cape, so there's going to be great mobility out of that, but you're going to have to use it here soon because you do not have a lot of time to move. Looking around, though. Yep, there it is. The time has come. The wings are out as Mike Montana just makes their way over in the zone, but they're still not quite in, so now they're going to have to wait for the cape to be ready once more, but for now, they'll just take a few tags, but switching back over to Himothy. Locked and loaded still with those chug jugs. You love to see it. That is exactly what you want at this point in the game.
And the dashes to boot. No problems there. Electra will find one elimination in the feed there. You say Aoxy up on the high ground. Solidifying it early on is risky to do so when you have players like Himothy lurking on edge zone. But again, that'll put them in a great position to try and play out this game from height. That gives you that opportunity to hopefully pressure down on some players and find those eliminations, especially with an epic Spire rifle. 280 rounds. Aoxy can start to put some pressure down on this lobby with the medallion in hand as well. Set up very well here. Everyone's trying to get situated within this zone before it starts to move. As we'll see the first moving zone here. It's going to pull back over old builds, giving a lot of the players here on mid ground the opportunity to try and save some mats. But Aoxy checking back in zone, finds an old elimination, but there's a solo swooping in to grab the rest of it. A little bit too slow there. Aoxy not able to connect on any damage, but still holding on to this high ground position. Just gliding through these zones, racking up free placement points.
I mean, take it, right? Listen, let them come to you. You got the high ground. Take advantage of the players down low and do what you can. But remember, taking the height too early, as you know, Ben, is also a problem. So 9th zone, it's pretty close, but looking at the materials that Aoxy has left, it's probably not going to be enough to maintain it. At some point, yep, they're going to have to go back and try to find something here. But you know what? If they play this right and hopefully don't draw too much attention, they might be able to maintain it with the remainder of those mats left.
Plenty of mobility in the loot pool right now that'll keep you safe from fall damage, so it doesn't really have to worry about playing too high. If they're lucky, can maybe hold on to this position without anyone knowing and just moving back towards the front side, cranking straight back up to high ground. This is just textbook high ground hold. Aoxy putting pressure down in this lobby. We see Teeny falling in the elimination feed. Exactix also falling. Roxanne being the one to take them out. But Aloe taking a moment to pop some shield in zone. Will immediately move back towards the cloak to try and get back into here. But it's ticking hard. Players need to realize as well, that cloak not only helps you rotate for free, but also keeps you immune to storm. So we'll be able to buy you time to make those odd rotates around the sides that are a little bit more congested. Aloe finding a moment to pause and breathe. Aoxy raining down fire. Ammo's burning away, but again, so are the rest of the players in this lobby. There's the disconnect. will save them, though, looking to try and hold on to this high ground still. The crank is there once again. It's completely for free. I say that before one player trying to contest here. Eoxy holding on. Players on low ground trying to brawl for everything they possibly can here. But the mats are dwindling fast. Only 100 wood left.
Holding on to what is a dream here. It's glow season. Also in a not so secure spot here, but big shot comes out, almost turns into a refresh, but the other player pretty locked in. Now though, dropping down, can they find the shot? Can they connect what they need to continue on in this game, or are they going to fall short just like some of these other players?
Pars falling on the elimination feed there. Glow trying to make something work here on the backside. Realizes one player deep in zone, but they're ramped off. Not enough utility to stay in. And Yoxi dropping off the high ground, taking some big shots to a shotgun here. Taking a moment to pop the chug in zone. Can slightly out heal it, but a solo wants a piece of it. Cloak is used. Back in zone, sent to the low ground. Trying to find another opportunity to heal here. As we just break through the top 15. Glow still in this zone here. This is where that outlaw shotgun starts to become effective. That close range engagements here. Low ground control. Aloe finally able to take control of the high ground here, contesting early, in the passive playstyle paying off.
I love this for Aloe. This is where you want to be at here in the final moments of the game. It's Aloe on the high ground, taking shots down below, building up, making sure they're secure. Glow, though, taking a lot of damage, is going to take out one, but immediately gets taken out just moments later by Josh. And actually, the elimination that I thought they had was taken by Josh as well. Tough way to go out.
Aloe's holding the high ground here. A couple players healing in zone, but again, no worries about fall damage. Just raining down fire on this lobby. Almost max ammo. Broken back out. Just taking a second to pause. We might go to the heal off, and don't quit Sunny. So many jugs in inventory, and the cloak to get back into this zone. 5 eliminations. Back on the low ground. Close range. Not able to take them out. Wow. We see one on low, one on high. Both players trying to close it out in a straight 1v1. Roxanne, big shots with the Spire Rifle. Trying to close it out here with the Sentinel, but it's not going to be enough. Best on Combat Pro. 6 eliminations in the Victory Royale.
Hey, he may be the best on Combat Pro. I don't think we can argue that after that performance. 6 eliminations and the first victory of the day. You love to see it.
And not just that, right? I mean, we saw 6 eliminations, but he also had heal off potential there. Over 1.5 or maybe even 2 jugs worth of heals still in inventory. Did not have to take that fight by any means. Could have just dipped into zone, tried to heal off, but decided, you know what, we're just going to close it out now.
I respect it. To be honest, I respect that they didn't just back off and try to play the slow game. No, they said, you know what? I have the confidence to secure this for me now, so I'm going to do it right now.
And that's exactly what you want, right? A solid game 1 with the Victory Royale with 6 eliminations. We didn't really see anyone in these lobbies close to that number of eliminations. A lot of times we see players playing hyper aggressive, trying to get swifty in the end games, but for the most part, everyone kind of playing their life here as we moved into these later zones. No one really wanting to jump into the box. They know that you can get punished severely if you overextend in the meta right now, but Sunny stayed so calm throughout this end game.
Yeah, I mean, look, between Sunny, Glow, Aoxy, Noise, there are a lot of great players making it into the final moments, but of course, it is only one best on Combat Pro walking away with that first win. But don't worry, folks, there are 5 more wins on the table for other players to snag, and we're just moments away from diving straight into game number 2. But obviously, if we had to speculate where people are at on the leaderboard, I'd have to guess right now, of course, your boy Best on Combat has to be right up there at the top. But I'm curious who's right there below. We'll find out, of course, at some point here as we go throughout the event where these are going. But you don't have to wait. It's time. Let's go ahead and dive into it.
There's the leaderboard for you. Best on Combat Pro, those full 60 placement points and 6 eliminations. The most in the lobby, only tied there with Roxanne. So a 7-point lead for Best on Combat Pro coming out of game number 1. A lot of contenders here. Everyone in the top 5 really performing similarly, all breaking that 3 elimination threshold and just maybe not able to put it together there in the final moments of the end game. But you have to start to think, right? That's where those little decisions that you make early on in the match start to pile up, and Combat Pro was able to make it happen. Holding on to those chug jugs to the final moments, had the opportunity for heal off, just decided to take the fight instead. That's what you want, right? The more options you have in those later zones, the better you're going to perform. That just gives players the most opportunity possible to make the best play in the moment, and Best on Combat Pro had all the cards.
Yeah, that they did. They had the cards. I'll give it to them. But look, we got 5 more games still lined up and ready to go. If this action indicates anything about what we're about to see today, then I am pumped. I am excited as we get to watch this PlayStation tournament continue to break down. But after watching game 1, Ben, you already know what I'm going to ask. Who is a favorite looking to secure it all after the performance we saw there?
You know what? I'm gonna say it's Sunny. It might not have ended on the leaderboard exactly where you would see like a prediction you would think, but again, this is gonna be paired with a fault on me, right? I was kind of talking down on the outlaw shotgun, but you know what? Everyone in the end game was putting in work with it, getting some nice little one taps as we move through those last 2 zones. And shoot, I mean, if Sunny's able to put together a string of eliminations like that repeatedly, game after game in those final zones, I see no reason why he's not going to win one eventually. And I think one Victory Royale might be enough to do it today if you can continue to stay consistent.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I think Sunny is a good pick for sure. I also think, I mean, we can't count him out. You got the pros, right? The people that we've seen time and time again here in these PlayStation events, the vets, so to speak. You got the AOXs, the crew yours that you can't quite count out yet. I don't have one pick, I think, that I can say, hey, they're going to take it away quite yet, but give me a few more games. I'll give you a better insight, at least from my perspective, who could potentially walk away on top. But you talked about it a little bit, the shotgun meta this season. I feel like everybody you talk to, it's a little different, right? There's those few shotguns of choice. Ben, go ahead and break them down for us and for the people at home. Tell them what you're choosing, and then I'm going to go ahead and throw in my take after that.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I think the #1 pick we'll see from most players, if they can manage to get their hands on it. There's a lot of weapons in the loot pool right now, so you really can't guarantee a loadout unless you're landing at, say, like Supernova or something like that. But for the most part, players are going to be looking for that Sentinel pump. It's a tried and true from season after season. We've seen this weapon now. Players have experience using it. It's that traditional pump feel that you get in like a more of a compact form. So you're able to actually hit those shots off the hip without any problem. You have the drum mag shotgun as well. There's some other options in there, but for the most part, that Sentinel is what everyone's going to be hunting, and that's what I'm picking up game after game.
All right, let's go ahead and dive in here as we get into game #2. Will they start off with a Sentinel shotgun? Will they get the luck that Ben was talking about moments ago? Or they're going to find themselves with a loadout that might not be so helpful against the enemies close by? Let's go ahead and dive in with our first player here as we focus in and take a look. It is, of course, our first place on the leaderboard, champ of game #1, Best on Combat Pro.
Diving in, 78 points going into game #2. You have to be feeling confident coming out with a performance like that. The jitters are gone. You got to win under your belt. You know, you just need to stay consistent, and you're more than likely going to end up in one of those higher prize pool thresholds. So again, just looking to execute on the plan they did in game #1. Dropping in early, though. Lots of action across the entire island here on the outskirts of Flooded Frog, specifically Voicey finding some loot early on, minis to pop, but
yeah,
more importantly, securing the drop spot once again.
You know, listen, when you land somewhere and you have a drop of choice and you're consistently winning it off spawn, that's not only is it a good feeling, but it's a message to the remainder of the lobby that says, guess what? Don't come and mess with me, because I know what I'm doing here off spawn. And that's what it looks like from these players so far. But Best on Combat Pro taking a lot of damage here early on in this fight, and doesn't look like they're in as good of a position as the opposition here on the other side of that wall. But when it comes to Shogun Solitude, there's still a lot to this POI, so you can't count them out quite yet.
There's so much loot to go around, but Wyver wants to try and take the fight to them early on here. Max brick, though, so really going to force this player to hit some shots. Definitely going to have the Matt's advantage, but again, maybe taking some shots from a third party, but deciding to opt out of this one. Salt putting just enough pressure to keep them away. They have the boss just on the outside as well to try and take out some of these guards to get some weapons in this early game. It's important to do if you're lucky enough to get the spawn, of course, finding that higher rarity Spire rifle, some extra minis here and there. That'll keep you in the mix here so you can start trading for this damage early on. Because I'm going to be completely honest with you, Panda. The Surge in game number 1, much more of a impact and a factor in those later zones than I thought it would be.
You know, the same thing here. Truthfully, I did not anticipate it being as crazy as it was or as impactful as it was. We talked about it before. It's like these players know what they're doing, so Surge should be a factor, but or certain should be a factor, I should say, for the best of the best, right? But when every single player knows what they're doing in the lobby and knows how to play the game, it makes it tougher to be ahead of Surge, because guess what? Somebody always is going to be the one that's at the bottom of the damage threshold, and you just always hope it's not you, no matter how much you're doing or how many fights you're taking. Sometimes it's just not enough.
And these players investing early to try and take care of some of this damage. Wyvern and Salt trading off the rip, and a third party wanting to get involved as these two continuing to burn majority of the materials here at the start of the game. They know the loot is valuable if they're able to take out this little mini boss fight. And Wyvern wants to slowly creep up towards the high ground, is able to secure it. Salt dropping down to low. This is where it starts to become a problem, though, when you have the AI, the guards, pelting into your builds. Just burns mats that you're not even thinking you're burning. But Wall stuck over the mantle, not able to build there. Will fall to glows to secure Supernova. Wyvern and Salt still trading. One build for Wyvern. Has control of the wall, though. The ramp's in the box. Forced into an awkward position, but this is the moment where a third party starts to get involved. Wyvern may be able to catch him off guard, slipping into the box. Only has 2 shots with the Outlaw. Needs to connect on both. Finds one, finds 2 with the AR, but it's not enough. Salt coming out on top here. A third party may be rotating in, but plenty of time to get those siphon mats and heals off.
It's funny, you said it there, right? You said needs to connect with the shotgun shots. They connected, but they didn't connect well enough. It wasn't all the pellets connecting and doing the max damage that it could have, leading to them getting eliminated. But it's a win for Salt as they still stay in this one, and they go ahead and they try to take another fight with another player rolling up. But with the NPCs close by, you kind of don't want to worry about these other extenuating factors like the NPC. That's why Salt's going to go ahead and take it out while this player is running away.
People underestimate these NPCs. They drop some pretty solid loot. If you can get lucky with some of the drops on them, you can guarantee minis, some of the higher rarity ARs, maybe even a decent shotgun. So it is worth taking them out. It might be annoying, but again, it's going to be worth it in the long run, and most players don't account for it. But when those AI start to fire at you, it tells the rest of the lobby exactly where you are. There's no question about it, so that's why you see so many third parties going on that corner of the map. But Dorito pressuring down here, trying to take some top control. Finds the ramp to eliminate the cone, but the player burning those dashes to get down to the low ground and get away from this player. Really doesn't want any part of it. A 25-point game 1 for Dorito. That's nothing to scoff at. That'll put them in a solid position here to continue to ride out this game as they find themselves in a great position to put some pressure on this lobby early on. Dorito has a full loadout and late game mobility. So again, that just allows you to execute on your game plan, assuming you have one, of course.
Yeah, I mean, who needs a game plan, right? But you run and gun, right? You just move and shoot, right? That's all you need to do. Truthfully, these players, you already know if they've made it to this point, they've made it through all of the qualifiers into the finals. They know what they're doing. They've got the game plan, and for Crystal, they've got the loadout as well. Wow. Looking and locked in and lean, looking to take out this player. Does quite a bit of damage here, but still not quite able to convert. That's going to be because of that auto shotgun you were talking about moments ago. It's not the 2 that you prefer, not even the Outlaw, to say the least, but it is going to be a factor in whether or not they win. And sure enough, they said, you know what? I don't even need the shotgun. Don't worry about it, Panda. I'm going to take him out with, of course, this rifle.
I mean, no mats up against a Spire rifle. You really can't do anything about it. People underestimate. A 50-round magazine is no joke. I think the only other weapon we've had close to is the Flapjack rifle, and man, if you're a comp player, you remember that season. It was brutal. It's the triple spray meta. Everyone knows the Flapjack. And the Spire rifle is kind of the solo equivalent to that. It has a little bit of a slower fire rate, so players can be a little bit more calculated in where they choose to send their shots. But for the most part, plays pretty similarly as Crew Yor getting aggressive in the early game. Once again, not going to shy away from the action, regardless of their performance in the first game here. Taking the island straight off the rift here. See a couple of surge bases out in the distance, looking to trade some damage. But again, not overextending. Something about this island that everyone seems to underestimate. Yes, it has access to the boss loot. Yes, you can get a hold of the medallion, but there's still plenty of mats up here. It's a very viable position, even if you're just looking to play for endgame.
Couldn't agree more. I think the addition of the island a few chapters back has been actually a really nice touch to the game. Something that it's added that feels different, right? Different elevation point. Obviously, it's something to fight for, right? Like, it's definitely a different feel than we've had it in the games. And of course, obviously, the island has changed over the last few years, but still, being a floating island in the sky gives you so much if you're the player that's able to secure it, that it makes it something worth fighting for.
Crew Yor will continue to farm some of these AI, will continue to rank up their superhero rank. Gives them access to some of those ranked chests that you could open as the game goes on. Again, most of these players not going to prioritize it, just to make sure they stick to their game plan, and there it is. Epic variant Sentinel pump, but Salt saw them fight early game, straight into the box here in the exact same area it seems like, but a big shot sends Salt down to 30 HP. Comes out the med mist smoke grenade to get them back into the fight here. Player on the wall, still on the ultimate low ground here, just expending these mats, trying to buy them a little bit of time, but a big shot, the Outlaw off the right-hand peak. Exactly what Salt was looking for, straight back into the smoke. Trying to heal to full here and also give them an opportunity to take some cheeky angles. Will fade here shortly as the player just above, now healing back up. But the problem here is Salt, I'm sure, would like to play aggressive here to get the player on the back foot, but the problem is, has no materials left, so kind of forced here to wait things out as maybe the player starts to rotate away. Salt not one to risk anything because the game just started.
I feel like we just saw this in game number one. Similar situation there with another player where you run out of material and then you kind of almost run out of hope. Because if a player is on your wall and you have nothing to build with, you're basically you're between a rock and a hard place. You really don't have much you can do. You'll have to fight it out and hope that your shots hit better than theirs and hope that they're not going to build defensively against you in a way that blocks your shots but lets them take theirs. It's just, there's a lot of variables once you run out of material, and that's what makes Fortnite so special, is that Fortnite has this building mechanic in it, makes it the most unique game you could possibly play on the market, especially when it comes to battle royales. And it also gives players the ability to not just have to worry about their aim, but that extra additional layer of skill you need to succeed comes from that building mechanic. So they'll keep playing it out, and we'll see how these players can do. Big shot coming out there, though. Wow. Shots exchanged, shots delivered, as Kai Donner is going to go ahead and walk away with a quick little elimination.
I think everyone at home needs to remember, right? You might watch pros play. Everyone here is doing this from a PlayStation, majority on a controller. And you have to remember, this isn't a one-off. These competitions are going on all year long. PlayStation players can win prizes in Fortnite tournaments all year long, right from their console. And they can end up right on the live stream right here to compete for $50,000. Panda, I don't think everyone at home really realizes what an opportunity this is for these players to compete, considering this is the biggest console offering on the market right now.
You know what's funny? I actually know a guy that competed in a tournament for $50,000 and won.
Oh my gosh.
$50,000. And yeah, I mean, he's said multiple times how much skill it took, obviously, to win in those big pressure prize moments. And actually, you know what? Let's tune in with him right now, Ben.
Yeah, straight into action as we continue. Solar up on the high ground here, getting a big shot here. But the player on low ground, the one with the health advantage. Solar on the back foot, but on the high ground. 76 health left here, taking to zone. The player constantly applying pressure, switching right over to those hard mats. Wood fully expended here, so things start to get serious. Popping the minis in the moment. But the player to keep their eye on here, Panda. I don't know if you see it there in the distance, Reciprocal lurking, trying to keep their eye here on this fight to see if there's a third party possible. Solar, the outlaw shotgun. Those are the engagements where you are at a disadvantage using this weapon. Reciprocal, though, lurking on this fight, really not wanting to commit to it, but just waiting in the fray.
Now, if you guys don't know at home, you're in for a treat. Reciprocal is a very familiar name in the Fortnite space. Been a pro for quite some time. Player that's constantly showed up in multiple events, whether it's PlayStation, FNCS, and more. So it's an exciting time to see them involved here. Although not in a great spot right now, taking a little too much damage, but they are going to be above the damage threshold. So pending this med kit pops and everything goes in their favor, they should be able to make their way into zone and continue bringing some positivity to that name of theirs.
Say Papu Blast. Just rotating out here. You hear them drop down to the low ground. Just below, there's a tunnel system. So a full disengage for most of these players here. But this is where the problem arises once again. Storm Surge. Everyone who didn't play aggressive early on, didn't get landed on, now having to force these fights and expend all of their utility, a majority of their mats here to try and get some damage on Baby Boy Bot. The one on the receiving end of this aggression, I wouldn't even call this aggressive. I mean, you're just kind of fighting for this wall at the moment. Maybe Baby Boy Bot looks for a right-hand peek, but for the most part, holding on to these builds very nicely. Electro trying to see if they can pump a wall, maybe take control to try and get a cone in the box and an opportunity to get a shot on target. But nothing going to reveal itself. We start to hear the lobby putting some pressure on here as these two draw more and more attention.
Yeah, the more fights rain on, the more attention you draw, and the more likely it is that you're going to have somebody else get in there. And Electro thought he had the angle, but he didn't. Head just barely exposed, and now he's going to have to pay the price.
Electro doesn't seem to skip a beat, though. Might be punished off the right-hand peak, but again, straight into the box. I love to see it. Takes control of both walls and the cone in. Decides, you know what, that's enough. We're going to go find somebody else to mess with. Salt, similar position, but the surge taken care of here. A lot of these players who landed on these edge zones, or these edge drop spots, have pulled zone. They don't have to move anywhere. Everyone else who is center or opposite side now having to move, so that we start to see these congested areas of the map. If you look in that bottom right corner, you can start to see everyone packed in here trying to find a path for themselves to make it into this zone. Electro, though, boxing up on one player, then on to the next, trying to figure out who's worth fighting to try and get this damage taken care of, as they're now 130 damage below. That's no small number. Going to need a lot more than just a tag here or there on this next rotate.
That they are. So much going on here for Electro, but they're still locked in, looking to try to convert something. All the players around here also same thing in mind. Big shot comes through. Electro now being targeted yet again, taking a ton of damage. Not much left to work with, but still aggressive, still confident. Will it be enough though, as Higgins now also taking a ton of damage. A Batman Buka fan there also on the opposite side ends up getting punished and allowing Electro to get back into the game.
Again, Electro overextending for a fight, getting punished, rinse and repeat. Because in the end, it doesn't matter how hard you get hit trying to take these fights. You need to get the damage, because if you don't get it, the storm will take you out. And Murr, Findy here, trying to put down some shots across this zone. But again, on dead side, doesn't really give you a lot of opportunity to catch too many players off guard. Everyone's kind of boxed up and chilling. Electro still being punished now, 170 damage below. It's starting to get sketchy. Has some dashes to make this rotate if they need to bail out, but needs to find a player to jump in on. No heals in inventory, hoping they're up and above, but when there's this many players in the zone, you're not left with anything. Looking for a player to jump in on. 38 HP, no heals, boxes up on the wall, needs to get straight in here. One more tick to zone. Really gonna have no options and just gonna be gifted as a care package to the player inside. Storm Surge, just brutal this game.
It is, and look, if you're enjoying the excitement at home and you have a PlayStation 4 or 5 yourself, sign up. It's easy to join. Signing up is simple and can be done directly in Fortnite. And honestly, players, check out the Compete tab. If you're just playing Fortnite on a PS4 and PS5 now, you might see these PlayStation Cups pop up there. Get involved, compete, and play in the next cup.
So if these PlayStation Cups have consistently been some of the largest console exclusive prize pools year after year after year, and the competition is always top notch. So if you want to compete, get involved. This is where you want to be. You could end up on this broadcast yourself. We're fine though. No eliminations, still low on damage, but no heals left as everyone needs to make this great pull here. The zone pulled so far to the edge of the zone. It's almost half and half with the ocean. So everyone up close and personal here, starting to get a little bit more uncomfortable as everyone starts to run out of space.
Lock it in though. It's Dark 2K. Go ahead. Doesn't have a ton of material. Is probably going to need a refresh here at this point. And of course needs the damage. Surge starting to tick even further and further out of reach as they are now 73 damage below the threshold. And as I said, 73, it turned to 76. And believe it or not, it's probably going to go even further. That's how Surge works. The more damage other players get, the worse off you might be. But speaking of worse off, our Game 1 winner, Best on Combat Pro, is out.
Just to see the Game 1 winner fall this early on, just to show a zone like this is absolutely brutal. Everyone's been packed in on this edge of zone for basically the last 3 zones. So everyone close together here trying to catch somebody out, just waiting to see who in this giant herd of players is going to make a mistake. It's everyone wants to try and play to the end game. Dark still holding this right-hand peak, hoping that somebody's going to try and hug this right side as it starts to move. Didn't find the opportunity, but luckily the player count dropping below 55, so Surge will disappear for the time being. There is a warning on screen, but at least they won't be ticking for it now. They have a little bit more time to try and catch somebody out, but Reciprocal here, a veteran in the space, knowing that, hey, this is where I want to be, on the dead side of zone. They know the players out here might have more materials, but he also knows that he's less likely to get third-partied there, grabbing some of those dashes to try and play through the end game and healing back up to full.
Good spot there for him, but not a good spot there for Dark, as Dark takes a ton of damage. Gonna go ahead and have to utilize everything left in the inventory just to stay alive, but shots come raining in. A player deciding to take the fight at Aoxy. Both of them weak, but no, Dark goes down. Aoxy walks away as the winner, but can he really be a winner with such little health?
Those Medmiss smoke grenades eliminating so much of the line of sight that players have available. Justin taking out the last player, realizes the amount of loot available in zone, will use the cloak to dip in and try and grab some of those extra resources. Reciprocal now finding himself a spot here on an elevated position, but again, everything's going to pull away. No one playing the dead side except for one player if you look there on the map, but everyone has to move. Kruyor finding elimination in the feed there. Himothy, the player on dead side, end up getting taken out. Reciprocal still recycling these dashes, trying to get ahead of the group.
And this is why Reciprocal is a veteran pro, and you can see it bleeding through their gameplay. They're quick to get ahead of zone. They're quick to get to where they need to and position themselves well. And now they're just playing it smart because they know eliminations will just naturally come as they stay alive. And of course, opportunities will come as well with players all around him trying just to survive.
Recycling those mats too, like trying to farm as much as they can expend, keep that balance where it wants to be. Justin realizing there's an elimination to swoop in and take out the winner of that fight, grabbing all those materials. A great refresh straight into the cloak to move back up towards an elevated spot. A couple players here having those hold positions, looking down on low ground, pressuring the lobby to keep them away. Justin throwing out some dance moves during the moving zones. I respect it. Voicey here inside the box, looking for an opportunity to try and get active. But again, this is where players have to make a decision. Do I need to get aggressive here to find a refresh, or do I want to wait out these zones because placement points are rolling here? There's a huge opportunity for players to get big points in the next minute and a half.
Big points, but is it everything? Can they walk away disrupting the top of the leaderboard? That's what it all comes down to here, folks, as obviously first place is down and out. But Surdy here, looking with a solid 60-plus points, definitely has the opportunity to take the top spot. Crystal, though, not quite in the same spot, but this still could be a very big game for them on the leaderboard if they just survive.
Say 3 eliminations. We'll put them almost 400 damage above. Taking some shots there on the side, realizing a player trying to get aggressive wants no part of that. Gonna go ahead and pop the cloak, get back towards the front side. Again, when they activate this Raven form, they can take absolutely no damage. Not from Storm, not from players, not from explosives, so it's a complete bailout. But once you're out of charges, it's gone. Voicey, no options here for mobility, trying to catch a player on the backside of zone. Only 16 damage above, so needs to put something together. Justin on console finds an elimination there in the feed as everyone tries to get settled here in this next zone. Only 12 seconds left as it starts to pull. Voicey dropping in zone here. Needs to hit the shot though off the right hand. Not able to do so. No. We'll dip right into zone to grab the extra mats there. That was the right play to make, but you just can't miss those shots, Panda.
No, you cannot. That is so unfortunate to see the way that one played out, but for Papa Blast, still get involved. Gonna go ahead and hold this player in the storm. I like this play. The pressure definitely coming from a good place, but the zone's still pushing on. They're gonna have to start moving, and so many other players are gonna do the same. Good position here. Only 2 builds remain. This is not where Papa Blast wants to be. They're gonna need to make something happen, and a big shot came through, but it won't be enough. But both of them get exchanged as 2 players go down for the price of 1. You love to see it here for some of these players staying alive, but if you're the 2 that went down, don't worry. There's still some more games on the table.
Plenty more to go, but we have to crown a champion here. Everyone fighting for the victory royale wants to take home that 60 points of placement. And Surdy looking down towards the backside of zone, realizes there's a solo, trying to scramble on some of these lower layers. Everyone's dueling. Surdy able to pick one up, realizing the player in the box opting not to grab any of the loot, so we'll take this position happily. This mid-ground layer being so compact, these zones pulling back over old builds, so everyone kind of being forced to scramble through old metal builds, things that they might not have the edits on, so everyone has to play a little bit more carefully. Dorito dipping down to the low ground to grab the mats, but loses control of the high ground in the process here. Burned almost all of their materials to try and go for that refresh, and it just wasn't what they were looking for. The pressure is getting applied, though. Needs to start to come online to try and connect, and there's the 120 shot, taking full ultimate low ground control and all the loot they could ask for.
That is a phenomenal elimination there for Dorito, and it's going to be exactly what he needs to survive. But Teeny on the high ground, looking to try and disrupt the way this game is going to go. Pars is also in this one. You love to see those familiar names, but shots raining down from above. Reciprocal still in this one. Surdy still in this one. Can they survive? That's the name of the game here, folks, is elimination points don't matter as much as placement, but that's going to be Reciprocal picking up 2. The veteran pro looking to finish off strong here as he just tries and gets another elimination. Lots of damage coming through, though. He needs to be careful. Not the material, not the position he wants to find himself in. He's flying around. He's in the box with another player, but it won't be enough. Reciprocal is down.
The final moments of game number 2. Teeny with full, comfortable control of high ground. No bailout as far as mobility, so needs to watch out for the players spraying up, and there he identifies it. Starts to de-elevate just a little bit. The players brawling on ultimate low ground. Little to no mats to go around. Teeny forced to drop down low. Take this fight head on. Teeny able to win that engagement, but I love you, Tony. Now trying to move back up. Also has 3 med kits. A bunch of chug jug heals. We'll try and start the heal off. Teeny dipping in his zone to look for old materials. This one's going to come down to the wire. Who prepared better? Who had a better game plan? Teeny has 2 med kits and a little bit of extra loot around, but for the most part, really not able to identify anything. Tony, 7 eliminations, still with the medkit in inventory, and the chug jugs to pop. TD just hoping it can buy just enough time, maybe get lucky, find something. Tony knows the clock is running thin, just barely able to pop the chug jug in time, and TD not able to put it together. Tony coming out on top, the heel off win.
And you know what's crazy? Tony almost hit the misplay. It wasn't quite timing that chug jug just right, but was able to barely get it off to stay alive in the storm just longer than Teeny. So shout out Tony for winning game number 2. That's going to be 2 games down, 4 more to go, but the action is incredible. So many highlight moments from game number 2. It's hard to choose just one that stands out to me.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Reciprocal is looking pretty scary in that end game.
Yeah.
I mean, just the times that we were able to tune in and watch, Reciprocal seems to be making such calculated plays. He's lurking on the third parties, not wanting to invest too much in the mid game to try and get active and get Storm Surge taken care of. And then in the end game there especially, took high ground when he needed to, played it, got right off, didn't want to worry about it too much. Dropped right to low ground. I mean, everything is textbook coming from Reciprocal right now. So I don't know about you guys in the lobby. If you're landing nearby, you might want to keep an eye out.
Hey, listen, Reciprocal is obviously one to keep an eye on, but there's a lot of great names that appeared in that one. We didn't see Pars in the first game. Now we're seeing Pars active in this one. So we could see some more notable Fortnite personalities make their way to the top of the leaderboard. We'll just have to wait and see. But man, oh man, there is no one that's bringing these moments to Fortnite like PlayStation Cup. To be honest, if you're familiar with the Fortnite scene and the Fortnite competitive scene, there hasn't been as much going on. But the PlayStation Cup is a major milestone for players to look forward to in the Fortnite competitive season, and it represents one of the biggest prize pool opportunities available to console players. So, again, huge shout out to PlayStation for putting on this action. Without them, what you're seeing on the screen wouldn't be possible.
Gotta show those PlayStation players some love. Because, I mean, Panda, I don't know about you, but you can go watch pro play, but it's not the same. Console players are a different breed, especially here on PlayStation, and they come to play every single time. And these games are not playing out like I thought so. These players are executing down to the wire to try and come out with the win here, and especially with a $50,000 prize pool. I mean, sometimes I forget, Panda, that there's so much money on the line because these players are working at it. They're getting active.
They are, dude. And truthfully, it just shows the caliber of players that have made it on to today. But now we're going to dive in. It is our placements, what everybody has been looking for. Now, this is just the match results from match number 2. You see Tony up there at the top, obviously walking away with not only the win, but the most points overall. 81 total points in one game. That is solid to say the least. But like you talked about, Reciprocal, they're in 6th. We talked about Pars, they're in 13th. Cade in 8th. A lot of notable names, not too far off.
Yeah, and everyone here, right? Anyone that you're seeing in the top 20 right now is making it to endgame. And when you make it to endgame, it's very small decisions during your mid or early game. Maybe you chose to go left side of zone instead of right side of zone. I mean, these are like very small decisions that are going to be the difference between 20th and top 10. Solos is a brutal game mode. It really is. When you boil it down to, there is the smallest margin for error when it comes to competition in solos, and these players are busting their hump trying to put something together here.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Solos is the toughest mode. It is one of those modes that everything is on you. It's not about what everybody else is doing. It's not about all that stuff. So really, it is about if you as an individual can show up and perform the best. And who's performing the best right now? Of course, it's 2 players we're keeping an eye out on. It's Don't Quit Sony versus Glow Season. 2 players going head to head and averaging almost the same amount of eliminations per match.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is kind of sitting around that same threshold as far as like eliminations go, right? I think anything over 3 per match and you're chilling. That's going to take care of the storm surge, and that's going to give you that little bit of a refresh that you need to carry into those later zones. But the big thing that I'd probably look at here is the total elim points, right? They might be averaging the same amount, but that doesn't mean that they're carrying that in the end game. So looking overall, Sunny up here, 101 points up towards the top.
Wow.
I'm not sure if that's exactly what we're looking at here. And then Glow Season there at 97 here. We might get a little bit of a shift up here. 101 points being that first place spot. That's a 50-point average across 2 games. That is no joke. That's an average of top 5. But game 3 is ready, Panda.
No wins, all consistency there for Sony. So we'll have to keep tabs on what they have going on. But another game is live and another drop map to watch as players find themselves spreading across pretty evenly. I will say this. No one POI feels like there's too much going on as we dive in straight off the bus with Tony.
Tony being a character that we checked in a few times in last match. Now looking to try and continue that reign. O-Block Talk, though, the first player to fall in this lobby. Reverse Max, the one to find that elimination. Tony will dive in here. Pumped Power. Fully uncontested here for Tony, as they will pretty much have a free pickings here for the rest of the loot they want for this game. Grab some of this loot early on, try and get out of this POI, because when it comes to solos, if you wait in one spot for too long, players tend to rotate your way.
Yep, and talking about players rotating on, it's Deshaun taking out Papu Blast. Papu Blast is the player we paid close attention to there in game number 2, out early in game number 3, but for the top of the leaderboard, I don't think that's going to make too much of a shift at this point, but one that could is obviously the other players that we were just watching. We saw the Tonys, we saw some of the others who are in that top 20 situation looking to maintain their spot, with players like Daikai who want that spot. They're hungry. They made it this far. They don't want to walk away without their big chunk of the prize pool. So want to tune in, pay attention, and see how well they can do as this game continues on.
Say, most of these players, if they want to break into that higher threshold for prize pool, you just got to be better than 50% of the lobby. That's just winning a 1v1, right? If you win 50% of your fights, which is a pretty low ratio when you think about it, you're good to go. You're set. So you make it to one end game, you're more than likely going to be put in a good position to try and move your way up this leaderboard. You just have to make sure you pick your fights correctly. Aspaz here.
That's fair.
Trying to use some of these dashes to disengage outside of Supernova Academy. Again, this is one of those highly contested drop spots. The top dogs generally opting to land here, so you have to be careful if you're trying to land a split, scuff loot across a larger area, grab some of these scattered chests in the surrounding area. So that's what you need to be careful. The players who are rotating out of these bigger POIs might start to send shots your way.
Yeah, and for Huge Wandit Buttle, what a name. What a mouthful of a name. Just going to hang out here. Only a couple points on the board so far through the first 2 games, but nevertheless, this style of play can net you some points. We talked about how important it is just to stay alive, so definitely some potential there. Nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But folks at home, players at home, if you are listening right now to what I'm saying, branding is key. Make your name easy so that when you win this game or when you walk away with an insane play that everybody wants to talk about, they can find you.
Makes it easy for him. Glub, FNBR here. Healing right back up. Still in a fight. We'll try and hold on and play out. The AI is just smacking on the walls here, not really giving him any options to try and hold on, but Daiki here inside the bush, just outside of Foxy Floodgate, knows that it's a popular area for players to rotate out from, so looking to maybe put together some sort of an ambush to take out a player, but for the time being, just needs to get those mats up.
Yeah, not in a terrible position, but not in the best, right? It's not exactly in-game ready, but definitely, I would say mid-game ready. Like, definitely closer to, right? But looking at the map, not a lot going on in the area. here, but so much going on for these players at home because truthfully, remember, these players have $50,000 of prizing on the line for them to win. This tournament, the prize pool, are all provided and enabled by PlayStation in partnership with our friends over at Fortnite. A strong signal of how both partners are committed to enhancing the competitive community. So a huge shout out to PlayStation and Fortnite for putting on what is an incredible partnership and of course an incredible event for all of you at home.
Shout out to Epic Games, always trying to do the most for the community. And shout out to PlayStation once again. We'll be saying that a whole lot today, if you can believe it or not.
But we love PlayStation.
Oh yeah. But Nye Emery here at Utopia City, one of the old favorites here on the map. Seen a couple of different versions of this POI, but this might be one of my favorites. Still lurking though, no eliminations, no solo down below, but it gets a little bit scary. There are these automatic doors, so catching players off guard is a little bit more difficult here as they do send out an audio cue. The player goes straight up to the high ground now, left on low. Not Emery, stuck, trying to lurk and take a player out. But they're looking to get PC here, taking control of the side. Again, these players do not need to connect on much, but they need to get some damage done. 85 players left. Surge will continue to be an issue here. Not Emery. Now starting to get a little bit more swifty, taking control of some of these walls. The player straight into the box, though. This is where that outlaw shotgun starts to pack a punch. Spraying to take control. Barely slipping away. Not Emery. That's the green light. We need to start to get aggressive to close this fight.
The fight continues on. High ground versus low ground. The tale as old as time. Which player is going to be able to walk out here with this one early in the game? But Emery looking aggressive and looking much healthier than the other players, so it's just a matter of finding the right time to strike. But no, unfortunately, too many walls in between them. Gonna force Emery away and force them to just hold out and fight for another day.
That's the damage you need. You might be looking to try and get the extra points, but for the most part, you're sitting at 52 after the first two games. You really don't need to be full sending anything. You just want to try and stay up, get into these later zones, and play out from there. Only top 80 now. So everyone needs to try and play out the best they can. Utopia City, pretty empty for the most part, as everyone here is trying to get their mats up. Plenty of metal opportunities, plenty of wood opportunities in the surrounding trees, but brick is the only issue here for most of these players landing around. So everyone will start to rotate out and farm that as they move away from the city, but not Emery taking full advantage to cap out these materials. Everyone in the city just really comfortable right now.
Yeah, they're just hanging out, having fun here in Utopia. And that's the part of this game that we kind of grow to anticipate, right? This is the mid game. This is where everybody just positions up, especially in solos, and waits it out until those final moments so that they can take their chance to walk away with the most placement points. But remember, folks, 60 placement points on the line for the Victory Royale, 2 points per elimination. And of course, first place in the entire event walks away with their share of $50,000, the biggest share of $50,000. So you already know these players are playing for first.
Everyone wants a piece of it. Bluish finding the time to heal in the water. I don't know if anyone knows at home, you can get the new boons that'll help you and give different abilities. And one of them is healing in water. So taking full advantage of that to heal back up. I'll point them out as I see them, but for the most part, these players like to keep them in their back pockets, so you won't see them too often. G-Money finding an elimination there onto Himothy, one of our late game demons in the first two games. To see them fall early is much to a surprise. But DK, though, a rough first two games. Looking to try and piece something together here before we enter the back half of competition. It's starting to blaze by here as everyone needs to be warmed up at this point. You have no more time to get the jitters out. You need to make those game plan changes, and you need to start to execute because the points are stacking up.
Points are stacking up indeed here, and they're stacking against players like Dartsify, who only have a few points on the board. But remember, we saw it. It's 101 points is first place. So don't feel like you're too far out. All it takes is 2 big games here, and then you go into that final game strong. You could walk away not only in a top 5 position, but maybe even first place. We'll have to pay close attention as these players continue on. Teeny, you're going to go ahead and heal up here and disengage. Says, you know what? It's not worth the material. It's not worth the fight. But no, Tony says, you know what? I'm not letting you go that easy. Get back here and let's brawl.
Holding on to it. Looking for a second to maybe throw this Sprite down. Get those dashes already equipped. That'll give you the opportunity to get aggressive or fully disengage if the pressure starts to get to be too much. And it seems like that's going to be the option here. Just wanting to play towards this end game. Get out of that engagement. If you don't like it, just disengage. That's the beauty about solos, is you can disengage from these fights in these early zones. More often than not, there's gonna be a third party if a player tries to chase you, so you'll have those openings. You just have to make sure you take advantage of them when they are there.
Yeah, taking advantage of the openings. That's the name of the game in Fortnite. You have to wait, be patient. Not everything can be forced, and so for the players that are patient, that are just waiting for the right time to strike, those are the ones that typically find the more success. Now, for DK, they find themselves outside a zone. They're going to have to move into the zone and make something happen. But for Kai Donner, they're just going to have to survive because, man, the player on the other side of this wall is aggressive. Just forcing their way into the box, not taking no for an answer, and that's going to be the end of Kai Donner's run here in match number 3.
And to go down to Ruli, of all players here, and again, that loadout, just brutal to go down in that kind of a situation here when you were set up so well for late game. And the zone didn't even pull far away. That's brutal. But Grims still playing out here, just trying to see if he can maybe get this player, bait them out to overpeak, to connect on something. The player in the distance, though, peeking out with a window peek. You see them get cracked. Justin on console, though, just on the edge of zone, trying to make their way in, make sure they cap out those maps before the later zones. But there is a solo lurking close by, just down below the hill. I wonder if they know they're there. Justin definitely doesn't, as they move up towards this high ground position. Again, when you have 2 medkits in inventory, sometimes sitting in Storm is your best play. Most players, especially ones who don't play competitive frequently, they get really scared of playing in zone. It's almost like the worst possible thing that you could do is be in zone. But as you get more comfortable in these high stakes competitions, you start to realize Storm, it's exactly where nobody is. So you want to stay out there. If you don't have what you need to play for late game, why go stay in zone? Just go sit in the Storm and play out for the later zones. Make a move around 6th, 7th zone when it starts to become too much, and then play those moving zones and burn all your mats. You don't have to.
No, you really don't. So we'll see how it plays out for them. Ruli, though, still in this one. You're just going to go ahead and heal back up, get involved, and stay alive. Have they done enough? That's the question these players are asking themselves right now as we creep into the next zone. Here it is, zone number 4. 75 players remain, and that only means one thing. Too many people are up, and some players are gonna need to go down, folks. That means the next few minutes we will see that surge warning hit the screen yet again, forcing players to get back into the fight.
Joss here, eyeing up baby boy bot surge tower they built out just to the side of the island. Some players are starting to fight for it just a little bit, but for the most part, that's the only action going on here in this zone. Everyone's trying to stay out of line of sight of each other and really not draw too much attention to themselves. Tony healing off to the best they can, get back up to full HP, and then use that geyser to rotate into the zone. Maybe not, just keep an eye out. Maybe see if there's anyone close by. Has one more medkit in inventory, but zone hasn't quite started to move yet. As they double hit the geyser, that's some pro tech right there to be able to move into this zone. That gives you free reign to decide where you want to come into this next zone.
All comes down to this. just holding it down. This is basically the best position you could find yourself in at this zone. But of course, as I say that, the next zone presents itself, and the pool is egregious. It's so far away here for Baby Josh. So they're going to have to make the necessary move. And unfortunately, they don't have any of those mobility items that we were talking about before. They don't have the cape. They don't have some of the other cool stuff that unfortunately is not quite in competitive. That is an exciting mobility item. But nevertheless, they're going to go ahead and move just like Yacor. Going to do the same thing here. Oh, but big shots come in. Yacor going to be the recipient of those shots. Going to take a little bit of punishment, but fortunately for them, the shield bubble will be exactly what they need. That'll protect them and deter other people from trying to take the fight.
I have to say, I might be biased, but shield bubble, I'm a fan.
Biased.
I'm a
You're
fan.
Biased.
I'm a fan of shield bubble for no particular reason, but it's just a good item, man.
Zero build player.
All right. If you can pick and choose your angles, just like Ekor can, just like that, it's obviously the item for them, right? If you can hit a right-hand peek, if you can pre-fire, that's exactly what you want to be doing.
Yes, sir. That's what you love to see. This is it, folks. Players are starting to find their groove, get into their motion, and take out one another. Conart going to be the next one to take the fight. As they're 116 damage below the threshold, they need a big shot there to turn this fight. But no, unfortunately, it's going to be a big shot onto them. That means Conart going to find themselves going down. It's Remington. He's going to take him out here and get himself nicely above the threshold.
Perfectly timed push there to get into the fight. Knew the player was low, knew that they might have no materials, able to clean it up, grab the loot, and then immediately hit the rift to get into the next zone. That's what you're looking for. If you're a passive player, you have to be able to capitalize when those opportunities present themselves. Otherwise, you'll end up in a situation similar to this one here that we see Dan's. 36 below, not a heal in sight or shield. And in a fishing rod, a really tragic situation for this player. I mean, not much you could have done there.
Oh, Dan's. Yeah, I think at that point you just give up. He just dropped in the box. He's like, you know what? I accept that there's still 3 more games after this one. Let me just drop in and call it a day. But for Oreo's still alive and healthy here. Gonna go ahead and heal up. Best on Combat Pro, our Game 1 champ, still alive in this one, looking to make a redemption after an early fall in game number 2. Definitely what we want to see here from this player, as they're still in contention to take one of the top spots. Cade, though, a big name here in the Fortnite space, looks to have a phenomenal game as well. Unfortunately, in a bit of a shambles situation, as Best on Combat Pro looks to take advantage of others in a situation similar, but no, he is below the damage threshold. He's forced to take the fight, and what was looking good for him just moments ago is his demise, as Surge forces him to take the fight that takes him out.
Such a brutal game 2 and a game 3 there for Best on Combat Pro. We'll need to bounce back here in the back half of games, but again, still a lot more to go. Oreo falling to Surge as well. Cade falling to Surge as well. They're dropping left and right. Players who do not take care of Surge early will get punished in this phase of the game in so many different ways, but they can cause some problems. We see Silo, Baby, trying to make it into this zone. 5 below, so not really in that desperation mode just quite yet. I think they're more concerned with their materials at this point in time. But there are so many players that have already made their way into this zone. They're established, they're looking, they're trying to spot out these solos that are making the late rotates so they can try and capitalize. Cruyor stuck on the back foot though. Player straight into the box. 3 HP, hits the big shotgun shot, but not enough to win the fight. Silo Baby straight into this zone. 12 below, hits a big pump, but not gonna keep them above their players tagging, so will fall as well. DK holding on to this nice low ground position on this pack side of zone. Will pull 50-50, so doesn't have to go anywhere for this next zone, but there are plenty of players that have a rough rotate ahead.
Plenty of players indeed, as Solar Liloy is getting in the box, but no, it is Pars on the other side of the wall. That is the last player in this lobby you want to go head-to-head against. Pars, if you don't know, FNCS veteran, spent lots of times at the top of the leaderboard, and is no shy player when it comes to performing in the on the big stage here. Whether it's a PlayStation Cup, an FNCS, or more, Pars is a top contender, and we see him continuing that reign today.
Doing a great job of putting this game together. So far is struggling just a little bit. Keep that surge threshold where it needs to be, but holding on for the time being. Sunny in a similar situation. 6 damage above, 1 elimination on the board, but has some utility items to try and put something together here. We'll go ahead and re-up on those dashes to make this next rotate. That'll be the last of them, but enough to get them into this zone with a solid number of materials left over. Zysuf here looking down, trying to catch a player off guard that might be looking for surge themselves. Again, looking to trade. Most of these players know that, hey, I'm not the only one who's below surge here. Somebody needs to trade with me. Let's spray back and forth just a little bit so I don't have to make a play like this. But opts to try and give it a go. Not able to do it. Gets into the box, but isn't able to get an angle on the player. Now 36 damage below. Pars now in desperate need of damage. Needs to try and get straight into this box. 81 below. Has to win this engagement. Still plenty of mats, but not willing to commit on that fight. Needs to get into this box. Needs to try and fry somebody. Deal some damage. Do something. Pars, we can't just wait.
Zysov up at the high ground. Ahead of zone here just by a little bit. Not without his own punishment from the surge. Now going to have to connect a shot or two. There's one just barely putting him above the threshold, but now forced to use his last heals in the inventory. He has just a few moments potentially to make something happen, but Lowy, 37, still in this one. Has the cape, but opts not to use it. Interesting choice here from this player, but as I say that, of course, they're instantly throwing the wings up, flying through into the zone, and Baby Josh still in this one as well. 63 HP in a dream, diving into the box, knows he needs some sort of refresh just to survive, but no, he's trapped in the storm. He may end up going down just by making that mistake.
And Lowy just in the same situation. There's so many of these players here, full shambles, nothing left, looking desperately to catch somebody rotating through. Has this nice little peek box in order to try and catch somebody. Yeah, but that's the player you're looking for. You have to hit those shots. The player will get eliminated just above, though. Lowy not realizing there's loot just ahead. We'll leave that for the time being. Baby Boy bot following the elimination feed to Teeny. Lowy spotting one out on this backside of Zode. Grims looking to try and carve out a path into this next zone. Lowy doing a great job of capitalizing on that angle. This player, though, front side low, looking back. A great opportunity to deal damage, or at least wait and see how high ground will establish itself and pick and choose their spots. Spectral, 20 below, but waiting. Somebody's bound to try and make a rotate on foot, and those are the players you need to be looking for.
Looking here, though. It is Lowy, 37. Locking eyes with another player. We're gonna go ahead and opt just to get ahead of zone here.
Love it.
Other players ahead. He needs a shot, though. If you see, he was below the threshold. Now he's above, and what that means is a player that was at the bottom of the threshold ended up going down to Storm, so no damage exchange keeps him alive in this one. But Noise, he's below the threshold. He needs to take the shot, but no, he ends up waiting too long, and the player gets away.
Noise will wait and gets lucky on that as Zone pulls straight back.
Wow.
Gives them time to get that little bit of extra heals off with the Chug Jug. Back up to 200. Baby Shark finding the full refresh, hiding inside the cone. That's 140 Chug Jug. Takes a little bit of damage from players lurking on low ground. Want to stay away from them. Moving back up this mountain. Everyone looking to elevate here. It's going to start to get scary. As these players move up, it's going to get harder and harder to elevate yourselves and make your way through these builds. Noise, second high ground, holding on to this spot here, peeking through the cone. Reciprocal still in the mix here. Montana still in this game as well. Just breaking into the top 30. This end game is stacked.
You'll love to see it. Noise here, still staying alive in this one. DK as well. He's in it. He's looking to take a shot. Lots of people trying to break into his box, but no, he denies him quickly. It's Yuma just on the other side. Yuma still keeping eyes on him. DK waiting for the right opportunity to move or strike, but is opting to move. Good play here from DK, just getting out of the hindsight or getting out of the way of some of these other players. But as I say, that shots start raining in. He's in a tough spot. He needs to stop and take the med kit, but if he's not careful, he will run out of material, which he just did now. He needs to find a safe place to take it. He's forced to take it in the open, and that's probably not going to be good for him.
He swacks one pro here. Now moving straight up to the high ground, a big beam. That's exactly what they're looking for. Max ammo. Put them back into this to hold on to the high ground position. Now cranking back up towards. We'll have plenty of metal builds here to invest into this end game to hold on to it. Looking down, has a lot of space between high ground and mid. Montana, though, with only 5 builds left, forced to try and look for a player. Rotating on the backside. Leaping back forward, straight into the cone. Exactly what you're looking for to buy time. Everyone's holding shotguns out. Yuma falling in elimination feed. Swag still up on the high ground, pressuring down, still with cap wood. So no problems there. Noise falling in the feed. Reciprocal still in the mix. Things heating up here as we enter the top 10.
Here it is. Zizing still alive. Gonna go ahead and cone up here. 2 builds remain. Not gonna be a lot to work with. Is gonna need a refresh to stay strong in this one, but is gonna go ahead and opted to use one of his builds just to stay alive, but now he gets an elimination. That's gonna be the refresh he needs. Not a lot of health on him though. If he's not careful, one shot takes him out, but he's still alive. He's going for the play. He takes a big shot. That's gonna be another refresh. King goes down. Players all around him just also trying to survive. Somebody breaks in the box. Zizing is out. Zizing is out.
Loey's still in this one, trying to close the distance on the player on the outside of the wall. There's such an awkward angle. Swag's now on the high ground, forced to drop down low, but no heals left in inventory. It's a 1v1 situation. Montana in the fray. One player trying to close it out, and Montana hitting the shot when it counts. 8 eliminations in the victory royale.
Woo-wee, Mike Montana. What a phenomenal game there after match number 3. 8 eliminations in the win. That's 16 elimination points and 60 points for the win. That's going to propel them right up towards the top of the leaderboard. And man, oh man, what a game that was. That's just one of many exciting games we have left here in the PlayStation Cup feature in Fortnite. You'll love to see it. So much action yet to unfold and so many highlights to cover. Ben, there are some pretty key moments in this game that's gonna turn the tide of the way some things work. Of course, like our game 1 winner going down yet again in the early game. This is such a wild roller coaster of games. I don't know who to vote for to take it all. It just continues to shift.
I'm thinking the players that are fighting during the mid game and burning all their utility are getting punished severely in those later zones. The ones who are honestly landing contested, we're seeing consistently make it into the late game.
Yeah,
I don't know. If you're going to switch up your strategies, you need to do it now. We've only got 3 games left.
Yep, this is the halfway mark, folks. If it's not working out for you right now, now's your chance to figure it out. Make sure it works here for you. But let's go ahead. Let's take a quick look at some of the highlights of that. It's starting off with Amory getting a good elimination here. And that force on to Kai, forced Kai back, and now Teamy, of course. Another great fight there. One that I didn't think was going to end the way that it did. Nevertheless, though, lots of great stuff unfolding here in match number 3.
It's so many players starting to come online as the competition goes on. We see new contenders popping up in every single game as they either put together a loadout, as they start to get the weapons or the items that they're looking for to get comfortable in those later zones. Who knows? But there's new characters every single game.
New characters indeed, but it seems like high ground doesn't play as big of a factor as we were hoping. So many players have taken high ground early and taken high ground strong, but unfortunately don't walk away winning the game. So, and this was that final moment, that final craziness as it all unfolded in the quick win for Mike 12 Montana. But This is not the last win of the day, folks. We are moments away from getting into the next game. But before we get into the next game, we're going to go ahead and jump into a quick break. Don't go anywhere, folks. Mike Montana winning the top of that match, 84 points. We will see where these players find themselves after the next match.
PlayStation.
I'm confident when I'm drinking rain. I hope you get a taste. I'm feeling lonely, so I hope she stay. I'm confident when I'm drinking rain. I hope you get a taste. I'm feeling lonely, so I hope she stay. I'm confident when I'm drinking rain. I hope you get a taste. I'm feeling lonely, so I hope she stay. I'm confident when I'm drinking rain. I hope you get a taste.
Here we go, folks. We're back for match number 4. Here it is. The second half of the PlayStation Cup is here and live. Players are loaded, ready to go, and launching their way onto the map. It's your boys, Ben K and Panda, bringing you all of the action here for the PlayStation Cup. Ben, we've had 3 games down. We have 3 games to go. I'm going to be truthful. I don't know who can win this. Mike Montana, of course, winning the last game, but I feel like it's so close that anybody truly can walk away with it.
So we've had different winners every single game up until this point, and it feels like we've had a different top 5 every single game as well. Everyone is running in their own unique problems, but that's the beauty of solos. You just have to try and put something together in a streak here. And Mike Montana, coming hot off a win, is looking to deal some damage early. Again, we spoke about it just briefly after the last game, but the players that are able to get that damage taken care of as early as possible tends to be the ones that thrive in those later zones.
Yeah, you can't be spending to like the mid game and in late game worrying about surge. You need to focus on getting that earlier on. And yes, a lot of surge will come from the mid game, but if you don't get any damage in the early game, those are the ones that are typically finding themselves struggling a little more and more in the late game. But Reciprocal going to be one of those veterans that we know and love. One of the ones that know the importance of having surge early on, already taking some big shots there. And 106 points on the board is no easy feat. That's going to be a great look for them here at this point in the game. We'll be keeping a close tab on them as well as the rest of the top 20 as these games continue on.
It's a Reciprocal, slow to heat up, but when he's performing a tip-top shape, could be a really scary player. So someone to watch out for here as we start to count down the last 3 games. That's only 3 victory royales. That's only 180 points and placement if you're able to win all three. It's really not a huge threshold for these players to try and make comebacks, so everyone's still in contention here if they can try and put something together. Aceways trying to do just that. A big tag for 80 off the headshot with this DMR. Again, is that the full green light to W key? Probably not, but it is an opportunity to try and take ground.
Great setup here from Asus. Could do something, as well as T. Deroni. Just trying to survive here, play it out. But for the folks at home that are wondering, where is everybody at? Where are we looking at? Of course, you've seen who's in first. You got Roxanne in second. You got Teeny in third. Reciprocal right down there in sixth place. And then you got players like Aoxy, Glow, Noise, Team 1 winner. Unfortunately, not able to maintain a top 20 spot. So this could be a big turning point for them, and it's going to be the turning point they need if they want to find themselves back into the top 10.
I'll say one victory royale gives you that big chunk that you need. The rest of it can just be consistent games. You don't have to do anything insane to place well. You just need to try and stay generally consistent game to game. And you cannot be going down during these early game fights. You need to make sure that you capitalize on every single one, because if you go down early with a 0-point game, you're going to be having to make up a lot of ground. And Conart knows this, being very smart with these peaks, pre-piecing the front of these boxes to make sure that they don't get forced into an awkward situation here, but a third party starts to get involved. Conart takes a little bit of damage, healing straight back up, but still not shying away from this fight.
Yeah, unfortunately, he probably should have shied away in the fight. Did not go in his favor. It's too early on to take a fight like that when you're building up so high, because you're going to draw attention. Naturally, that's going to happen. And because he was up high, not protected, it was a quick beam from the other player, and he's back in the lobby. What was an aggressive and solid start to that fight ultimately ended in his demise because he didn't protect himself.
Generally, if you get forced down and someone's trying to aggress you, you want to just take space, tarp, and build out as much as you possibly can to force the player to really go to high ground and try and play top down on you. And that's where it opens them up to those third parties, right? You really want to force them to play your game, because if they get you on the back foot, it's really hard to guarantee survival if you're not in a position to try and get a third party involved. And again, with these edge fights at these POIs like Shogun Solitude that are so far towards the edge of the map, it becomes difficult to rely on third parties to try and bail you out. And Surdy knows this, knows that the player that they were aggressing is rotated away, but also knows that there's only one other player over here, and if he gets forced into an awkward 1v1, the game could be over immediately.
Yeah, they continue to play this one out as T. Deroni gonna go ahead and mat up here. Does look like a couple other players are close by, but no one that probably is going to be too much of a concern. It looks like everybody's in that space, at least, is very focused on their game. But Ruli, not so much.
Whoa.
Focused on the eliminations. Lots of aggressive plays here, but lots of risk being taken. All it would have taken is one quick edit like that to punish Ruli, but Ruli is going to be able to just disengage just a little bit, but back in the fold, spraying and praying, hoping that they can connect the big shot as they break into the box. But no, this player is slippery, not giving Ruli even an inch to take a shot.
Say maybe one or two shots connecting, but nothing substantial. Ruli needs to keep their feet under them here. As it starts to get really awkward, you start to assess the type of player you're going up against, and this is not one that you want to take lightly. Able to finally take control, get the cone into the box, and Ruli, of course, confident that they're going to win the aim duel. Aloe lurking in it. Baby Shark now wanting to get a piece now. This is a really awkward timing here as two players trying to get involved at the exact same time. Loey has the element of surprise here. Ruli, not a care in the world as they're jumping around freely. Loey watching from distance, waiting to hear that crack. Who's going to get tagged for 100? Maybe Ruli saw the top of their head there. Saw Loey just on the other side. I don't know. Loey's still confident that he has the element of surprise here. No builds in sight. And no third party if you look at the map either. So these three will be given plenty of time to try and play out this scenario. The dash sprite coming out gives Ruli the opportunity to rotate away, and you'll see a lot of players do that. They throw down this dash sprite, they pick it right back up immediately, because not only does the player who throw it also have the ability to get dashes by stepping into that ring, but any other player in the area also can jump into that ring and get dashes. So where you think you might have the advantage to dash away and try and disengage from a fight, the player you were fighting might have the same exact dash as you do.
Yeah, and I think a lot of players forget that. Like they throw it down, they start taking advantage of it, and then they run, not realizing that everybody else can go ahead and take advantage of that as well. So yes, it's a good escape tool in some circumstances, but if players can, like other players, your opponents can have access to it, you're basically, yes, getting away for a second, they're taking it and then following right behind. So there's not really there, if you're using it, there's not really much to think about other than stay away from other players when you're using it. You don't want to give anybody else the advantages that you worked hard to carry.
Or at least pick it up as fast as you can. Throw it down, grab it, and get out. Don't waste any time whatsoever. Spike, though, holding a great position here up on the high ground again. Though we see it, right? 22 points. Cumulatively across 3 games, not exactly what you're going to be looking for here. And again, this could be due to just lack of aggression in the early game. Seems more and more players here, though, willing to start a fight and then disengage rather than full committing to it. And I think that's where the solo meta has really started to morph this season as well, is if you full commit to fights, you can get punished far worse than if you just win the fight at all. It's really not worth the trade-off in a lot of ways if you don't guarantee the elimination. So Ace wants to rotate away, decides, you know what, maybe this is not the player that I want to be fighting for Surge. We'll go somewhere else. Sayaz here, again, rotating deep in zone, trying to grab some scraps, and seem to have worked out well there. A nice little loadout put together. Ace now pausing, maybe looking for an ambush or an opportunity to get some damage, and there's the 50 tag.
Shots coming in, doing what they need to do here. Looks like Ace still in a tough spot. I don't want to say it's a good spot, but it's not a bad spot either. They have the materials they need to at least survive a fight. But if anything happens outside of a fight, they're kind of cooked. But for Spikehead, he's still alive here in this one as he's taking a fight now. Looks like he's probably the healthiest player we've seen material-wise. 130 builds. Very, very solid for this point in the game.
Relaxing.
Now,
again, they're just trying to play this out. Spike does not want to commit to this. Just burning some materials, maybe looking to see if they'll open and add it.
Yeah.
Spike's not really going to be the aggressor towards this at all.
I mean, are you surprised, though? Like, he has the advantages. He doesn't really need to be the aggressor. And sometimes, especially when nerves are high, you take a fight like this, it doesn't necessarily go your way. So, smart play is just to disengage, let him have it, you know what I mean? And hope that another opportunity will come where you can take the fight at in a better situation and get some real solid, significant damage first before you actually have to engage.
And T. Higgs knows this and is on the receiving end of it. A big shot there.
Oh, no.
Send T. Higgins down to a low HP there, trying to find a gap or a pause in the action to heal back up. Gordy now rotating away off the surfboard. Lots of tags from third parties as this zone starts to shrink. T. Higgins, again, still fighting in the fray. No heals in inventory. So kind of left at the mercy of the storm. Or forced to commit to the fight. Player up above kind of guarding this vending machine. It can start to get a little bit awkward here, as everyone's trying to just play a right-hand peek. No one wants to overextend. 3, maybe even 4 players involved in this fight. Grabbing a med kit from the vending machine, though, so perfect timing there to hold on to this position and give them that health advantage. The player falls, eliminating 1, making it 3. Baby Shark trying to rotate in here, caught. Still in the storm, throwing down the med miss smoke grenade to heal back up. It's going to be Yuma just above. Now lurking. Not wanting to give them any signals. Maybe they'll open up and edit. Baby Shark being very careful here not to leave themselves too exposed. A little bit of a tag there. Quick little mini off. Yuma still aggressing, though, swinging through the box. Not burning too many builds or taking too much space of their own, but Baby Shark is stuck. Claiming the wall back with a quick pump shot. Both these players playing a strategic game here.
It's funny. Typically, the Shark is the one that is hunting, but it looks like Baby Shark here is getting hunted as he takes a ton of damage there. Now just trying to build separation and try to survive, but Yuma says, no, I want this fight, I want this elimination, and I want that loot that comes with it.
Both these players doing a great job of trying to play their lives, but Baby Shark still caught. At what point do you decide enough's enough and turn head to try and take the aggression? But it's not enough. Baby Shark will go down. T. Higgins now opting to try and rotate near the island. Zizing here up on the ultimate high ground. Trying to look around and see if there's any players that they could take shots on. Has a launch pad in the back pocket as well. Yuma taking a huge shot. Still so deep in this zone. Has so many heals.
Wow.
Will the player here try and commit to it? It seems like at least that tag in itself was enough for them. They'll rotate away. Yuma now eyeing up the missed gauntlets on the other side of the wall. Really not a fan favorite, but will go ahead and pop that med kit before going into the zone. But T. Higgins, the elimination fee will go down.
Wow. That's going to be rough there. We thought it was going to go well for a second for Mr. Higgins, a.k.a. Batman Booga fan. But it doesn't look like it's going to play out that way. And honestly, the leaderboard is playing out quite differently than we expected. Again, we saw Mike Montana win that last game. He is up at the top of the leaderboard. Roxanne in second. Teeny in third. You got MSFH Cube in fourth. Don't Quit Sony, a.k.a. Sony, in fifth. Reciprocal in sixth. Dorito in seventh. Zizing, who we just saw on the screen, in eighth. Remington in ninth, and Aoxy in 10th. A lot of familiar names there in the top 10, and that comes with experience, folks. That's what happens when you have a lot of time spent in the game and spent in these high-pressure situations. But speaking of high-pressure situation, Glow's season, going through it as Ruli, one of the most aggressive players in the lobby, has set their eyes on them.
Glows looks to try and do something here. Quick little ramp phase to get into this box immediately, but gets tagged way too hard. We'll use this cloak to try and buy just a little bit of time here. Again, only minis in inventory. There's the superhero rank chest. Give them some extra shield. At least get back up to 100. Refresh on the gauntlet, possibly, but again, no whites. We'll be hunting down this med kit. Maybe some vegetables. All part of a balanced diet here. Glow season healing right back up as that first storm threshold will reveal itself, and Glow's doing a great job of playing just aggressive enough to have that taken care of already.
Yeah, we'll see if Glow can continue this going on. It's him at the 88 there. He's had some good moments, but not enough consistency to keep him up in the top 20 of the leaderboard. However, anything could change here in the second half of these games, as this is only game number 4, and there are 2 more games to play after this one. So Himothy knows this. Himothy's locked in, and he's looking to be what he needs to be to take on and be successful for the remainder of this tournament. But think about this, guys. This isn't the only time this PlayStation Cup is going to happen. No, no, no. This isn't a one-off. PlayStation players can win prizes in Fortnite tournaments all year long, right from their console. So get involved. Check out the Compete tab. Get involved and play in the next PlayStation Cup on your Compete tab. If you want to have a chance at prizes just like this, like these players here, competing for $50,000, you never know. The next time we have something going on and everything's being played for, could be your name up here on the screen.
And it's not just Fortnite offerings as well. Like, PlayStation does tournaments in other games, Panda.
So much, so many titles, and so many awesome prizes always available here for you guys, the console players, the PlayStation players. Again, and truthfully, this is the biggest console offering in all of Fortnite. So if you're not getting involved and you're a console player, you're missing out. Show us what you got, compete in the next PlayStation Cup, and get involved for opportunities just like this one.
So many more to come, but only 2 more games to go after this. Clover still below on Surge. Zyzuf still below as well, just barely though. Bot boy, or baby boy bot. Low, getting lobby focused. Not much you can do there. Taken out by Sparkle from a distance. Dorito, the one to find that loot. Zyzuf here knows there's a player close by. It will be Teeny, just on the other side, who will now take the position above. Zyzuf popping the med kit there for not much health. I don't know if that would have been the play. But again, maybe looking to get aggressive here and start the fight. So whatever HP he can get. Wyver trying to sneak through. Lowy punishing in big numbers. We'll give them an opportunity to heal back up, but that's not what Wyver's looking for.
No, it is not. Wyver is not done yet as he tries to get back in the fight there. It is reciprocal that he was taking the fight with. He's going to go ahead and disengage, but as soon as he builds up, now becomes the target of the other players in the lobby. And with Surge active, you already know it's going to become a problem. Everybody's going to be looking for their shots wherever they can. Clover being one of them as well, as they're only 8 damage above the threshold. Zyzuf, though, taking a lot of storm damage, needs to get in there and get just one shot can convert. Just spray, just pray, but no, it doesn't look like it's going to be enough for Zyzuf as he tries to out-heal it. But unfortunately, it looks like his time has run out.
Not much you can do there. When you're left to the last second to look for that damage, more often than not, it doesn't come out the way you want it to. But Pumps now looking to try and plot out this next rotation. Most of the players are located inside of Demon's domain, but Pumps on this great dead side of zone will not have nearly as congested of a rotate. Using those dashes appropriately here. Spots out Aloe, but Aloe's not paying attention, so a big beam there to get some more damage on the board. Teeny kind of raining down here on this congested side of the zone, applying pressure to every player he possibly can. Justin on console in a low ground position, looking to use the board here to make it into zone. Not always the favorite for this exact reason. When you have so many players established in the zone, they're going to look back. You're completely exposed. G Money dealing plenty of damage here. Deshawn falling in the elimination feed. Albaxta still in this game fighting an elimination. This lobby is dropping quickly, which is such a compact zone.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting with the elevation changes here on this one. This game might end faster than you think. So, folks, strap in, grab your popcorn, because these next 3 zones are going to be crazy. Locking in, though, it's G Money here in the top 20 going into this game, but needs a big game to secure a top 10. But with players like Sparkle, who need the bigger games, who need to take the bigger risk, might be what takes out G Money if he's not careful. So, Sparkle now locking in, healing up, hoping for the best. Just trying to survive a few more moments longer. Now getting in a much healthier spot. Does have a decent amount of loot. Not necessarily ideal by any means, but doesn't count them out, or don't count them out quite yet, as Sparkle still has what it takes. But here it is, G Money, the guy we were talking about moments ago, in a top 20 situation and wants to secure the top 10 with this one.
Tita Rooney, same situation here. The last opportunity to get some of these dashes in inventory. Still having 3 more opportunities to recharge these dashes, but time now to get them into the zone and just not having the shotgun reloaded. Not able to take that player out. Time to reload and time to get into the box. Tita Rooney finds the first elimination of the match. Popping this shield as fast as possible before they make the next leg of their rotate. Sparkle now following the elimination feed. Trace Dash taking a ton of damage here as they start to burn through their materials. Still has the cloak and inventory to make a next rotate. For the time being, stuck in an awkward layer in ultimate low ground.
Not necessarily a bad position, but it is not ideal by any means, especially without the lack of heals there. But for Glow is healthy. I like what we're seeing here, folks. This is a good turn for Glow. Glow needed a pretty big game to creep into the top 10, finding themselves in 12th place ahead of this one. Now, finally having a breakout performance. If they finish strong here, they could not only take into the top 10 and make it into the top 10, they could make it into the top 5. All of that definitely on the mind of Glow, as now everybody's rotating across here. But oh, now that the elevation is changing yet again, lots of material is going to be spent, which is going to cause some players to go down a little earlier than they would like.
Say player count is much lower than you would expect for these zones, especially from the games we've seen so far, but that's just due to such a impactful zone of pulling up and over the mountain. So many players fell early. Reciprocal establishing ultimate high ground, just gonna go ahead and give it up, decides to knock the zone forward as it continues to drop down this mountain. See players getting held on this backside of zone. Glows now dropping to the ultimate low ground with only 200 metal left. Plenty of firepower though in inventory to try and take a fight. Tita Rooney now with 1 charge left to make this rotate, saving those Ravens for the right time, able to find a box here in a mid-ground layer. Pars next door neighbor Dorito on the backside of zone as well. We see a lot of front runners here in this zone. Tita Rooney still holding on though.
Still holding on, but doesn't have a lot left to work with. But Dorito on the opposite end of that, just spraying into the box, has the best rifle in the game and is looking to punish anybody that crosses his path. Can he find the eliminations he needs to climb? But speaking of climbing, it's Pars. He's on the high ground. While high ground hasn't worked for others, there is no reason it wouldn't work for him. He's a seasoned veteran, knows what he's doing, and he knows how to maintain high ground. So if Pars takes this smart, takes this easy, he could win it all. But no, Dorito looks to disrupt it and forces him down. Now Dorito takes the high ground.
Holding on to this position as well. 300 builds, but it's only in wood. Could easily get sprayed out and has no mobility to negate that fall damage. Pars, though, forced all the way down and eliminated in the feed. So a front runner from high ground sent straight back to the lobby. Doritos holding on, continuing to pull over old builds. There's so many players still deep in zone trying to fight over old loot. Tita Rooney in this mix, trying to come online and make something happen here to skyrocket them on this leaderboard. Just really tight rotates through these corners. Caught off guard there. Noise also caught off guard as we continue to run along this mountainside. Everyone's pulling through old builds. They don't have any control. Dorito on top side, forced to drop down low. They have no materials left now. In an awkward situation, decides to swap positions with this player who has absolutely no idea.
We could see Dorito go from 7th to 1st with a good game here. He's going to go ahead and fight it. He's pushing his way into Aoxy, and Aoxy goes down. That's an elimination and a refresh, but no, Dorito gets dropped into. He's only got 40 HP in a dream. He's run out of materials. He needs to make something happen, and big shots come in. He gets another one. It's Reciprocal. Reciprocal's down.
Not just that, Reciprocal had chug jugs and medkits, so that gives them that heal off win potential here. Teeny in a similar situation. The 200 chug jug and the high ground. 190 mats left to try and make something happen here, and the medallion. Everyone brawling on low. King, Zaire, now dropping down to low ground, straight into another player's box. Needs to win the 1v1. Electro hitting the shot first. Now left with no heals. Is forced to try and take a fight to win this game and close it out. Dorito just below. Still trying to make something happen here. Teeny barely holding on to this high ground. Doritos already committed to the heal off. Everyone's trying to decide how they're going to play out the last moments of this game, and then there it comes out. That's why you want to save the charges. Not only does it give him the opportunity to disengage from the fight, but now he can play the heal off from distance. He can continue to cycle those cloak charges and take no damage when he's in the form. So it gives him even more heal off potential. But Glows sees the shots, knows where the player is, hears him in the distance, trying to chase down only bandages in inventory, but that was the only opportunity. Teeny to close it out using the chug jug.
Teeny, your EU mega superstar, comes over to NA and wins a game in the PlayStation Cup. You love to see it. Folks, that just shows you that the only thing holding you back is you. Get in the game, get involved, and play in the PlayStation Cups. Folks, it gets exciting, to say the least. But, oh, man, it's great to see another phenomenal game from these players and a big disrupting game for the top 10. Lots of good players going down early. Lots of good players outside the top 10 making their way into the final moments of the game as well. So, big shifts coming up here on the leaderboard for sure. But Ben, man, how how can we predict what's going to happen when it's a different outcome every time?
I have no idea. We talk about like characters. Usually there's like usually 5 or 6 players that we know coming into the competition. Oh, these guys are going to be showing out. They're probably going to win a game. They're going to be up there on the leaderboard, right? The reciprocals, the teenies of the group. But for the most part, we've seen an even mix. We've seen new characters pop up in every single game that are finding their stride or finding their play style that's going to work in a lobby like this. So it seems like everyone's still kind of getting comfortable with it because there are so many different ways to play these end games now. This meta is super volatile. There's not only one way to play these moving zones. You can play however you want. It's just a matter of finding what's going to work for you.
Yeah, it is. But, man, like it's insane to look at the capabilities of the players that are playing in this lobby and how well they've been playing this one out. And then thinking like, man, okay, what could they have done differently? Oh, the only thing they could have done differently is not run into that player who's also exceptionally good at the game, right?
Yeah.
Because the player gap and the skill gap in this lobby is very minimal, which is something you don't always see in tournaments. So it just makes these games that much more exciting. But of course, as you know, here are the results to finish off this game. While Teeny didn't have a ton of elimination points in this one, he was still the winner of the game, taking those 60 points. But Glow walking away with 71 total points on the game.
And it's impressive, right? Teeny taking home the victory royale, but only 1 elimination. The points are still really close. Like, you really don't need to be getting super active, jumping into boxes. Really, it comes down to in these games is winning that one fight. That's all you need to do is when it counts, you need to win that one fight. You need to hit that one shot. And that's what's going to make the difference to skyrocket you into the top 3 to try and make a play for the win. That's where experience comes in. And Teeny, obviously, going to capitalize on the opportunity and able to close out the game. Knew in that moment, hey, I have the heal advantage. I have the mobility that's going to save me from the storm damage. So I'm going to make this play and I'm going to close out the game. He could have tried to fight, maybe even won the 1v1, arguably maybe even been more likely to win the 1v1. We don't know. But just wanted to close it out, take the points, go on to the next game because he knows there's only 2 left and you need to make them count.
Well, and remember, Teeny is playing on EU, so he's at the mercy of ping. So, truthfully, taking that fight is risky, even though he is exceptional and he could win the fight. He took the right way, which is the guaranteed win, which is why we probably saw less eliminations from Teeny in that game than we saw from a lot of other players. He was taking the low risk, high reward method of just trying to win the game, and it played out exactly as he wanted.
Capitalize whenever they were needed to, hit the shots when they were important, was able to close out the game. Now you just have to think, right? Teeny coming out with the win there, that was probably one of the most difficult zones that we've had so far, without a doubt, right? Pulling up and over basically the entire mountain range on that north side of the zone, just continued to pull up and over. So if you ran out of mats too early on, if you didn't come into endgame with max materials, you got punished severely. And you can see it here, Teeny coming out with the win there, 2 average elims a game with the total elim points of 21. That's not exactly what you're looking for here, but Teeny's still hanging in there with placement nonetheless.
And that's how it works. Like, it literally is like, if you win the games and you don't focus on the eliminations all the time, you're going to find yourself at the top of the leaderboard. There's just more points there than anything else. But it's time, folks. The penultimate game is here. Let's dive into match number 5.
It's the last chance these players have to try and put significant numbers up on the board. So it's time to lock in. need to make sure that we make every single moment count, and Teeny needs to right off the rip. One player landing on the singular house with Teeny, so an off-spawn fight to try and stay in contention here while just below. Both players finding a moment to try and pop these heals. Teeny with this burst pistol. This is actually one of the best off-spawn weapons in my opinion, but maybe looking to not force this fight here. Wants to disengage, try and play out. We talk about how Teeny reigning from EU might not be in the best form to try and force these fights where every single inch counts. And
yeah,
if you're trying to bloom battle somebody off spawn when neither of you have mats, he knows probably more than anyone that that's not where you want to be.
Exactly. And Teeny, keep in mind, has won an FNCS playing on the outskirts and surprising players. So literally, he knows what he's doing by playing out here, and he knows how to hide. Wait. Oh, he is caught out, but here it is. 1v1. Teeny takes a shot. He does some damage, but doesn't quite have the advantage on the player quite yet. He's looking for whatever shot that he can. He's going to try to make his mark. Big shot came through, and this other player, unfortunately for him, going to go down. Fortunate for Teeny, he takes him out. And truthfully, that was a rough play there for Rain Def, because forcing that fight against Teeny when you don't have a material advantage, you don't have a health advantage, is just a mistake, because you don't have any way to guarantee the fight, and you just turn it into a 50-50. Who has better shot accuracy or whatever in the moment that walks away with it. And unfortunately for him, Teeny was the one that walked away with it. But Glow still healthy in this game and a lot of potential to climb into first.
Yeah, holding it onto this spot here at Supernova Academy. This is where you look at the puzzle room right down here below. You have these trials that you can do that will not only get you some loot, but also upgrade that hero rank so you can open some of these better chests inside the POI itself. That's how, it's basically the only way that you can get high rarity loot quickly in the early game right now in the current meta. So taking advantage of it at Supernova Academy is important, but at the same time, you have to be careful to watch out for lurkers and people trying to camp in corners. A lot of players just opting to stay away from these advantages just to play their life reciprocal. Aoxy, two different players that are notorious and have reputations inside of competitive, not landing at stacked POIs. If there's any evidence to show that you don't need a ton of loot to be successful, it's these two players, both in great spots on the leaderboard right now, in contention for that top spot, but not really landing it anywhere too crowded.
Yeah, you're definitely right. And truthfully, that's probably the play in solos. You don't necessarily need the best loot. You just need to survive. And I think that's what these players realize, especially the season ones who've played solos time and time again. They realize, you know what? This little outskirt shack or building will give me enough loot to get over to other places that I know aren't too far away and are typically uncontested. So definitely some smart plays here from the players, and other players, fortunately, probably finding some success from the bigger POIs. But nevertheless, we focus in here. It is going to be Christoph who is flying over, trying to get involved. We do see this other player fully defending himself. And if I was Kryze or Christoph right now, I don't think I'd be taking this fight. I don't have the material. I need to just disengage and get back to focusing on being ready for the rest of the game, especially with the way that player boxed up. But it's okay. We'll see how it plays out for him in the future. But now we switch over. It's Silo, baby, a constant appearing character here in this tournament. We'll see if he can win this fight out.
Silo spotting out some of this loot here on the low ground, grabbing what they can here. Some mobility items as well. Again, it's going to be that surfboard. Not really the best mobility item, but it will give you that opportunity to disengage from fights if you need to. Lobby's starting to drop quicker. Well, I think we'll notice that here in these last two games. Players will start to get more and more aggressive just because they're getting more comfortable, but also because many of them are jarringly aware of where they sit on the leaderboard and know that if they have aspirations to be elsewhere, they need to start acting on it right now. And Crystal knows this, finding one elimination early on and trying to collect this loot as quick as they can here to stay away from third parties to play out the rest of their life.
Yeah, playing close to the vest is definitely the way to find the most success. Unfortunately, they're going to take a little bit of damage, but still not too bad of a spot. Teeny, though, doing teeny things. If you don't know, this man has literally won FNCS by hiding in buildings. I'm just saying it. Teeny is a smart player and has a strategy and sticks to it. So respect to him.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But Teeny
Might
right
be
now,
a little broke.
yeah, it might be a little bit broken right now. At least the shield for now. Trying to pop these minis, heal back up. Knows that that's going to give some visual audio cues, so this player is still hunting them down. Dorito, though, deep in the bottom of this cave system here. The tunnels, not exactly super rewarding. You could force some players into some really awkward peaks here if you're able to use it correctly, but Dorito stuck on the back foot. Only 8 HP, taking some risky peaks here before trying to distance themselves even more. But Teeny will fall, caught out. Dorito might find themselves at a similar fate here with only 8 HP. Has shield and inventory, but no time to pop it. Will fall early here. Dorito will have to make something happen in game number 6.
That they will. Lock it in, though. Cries just trying to play the edge zone. I respect it, but they don't have a ton of heals. So if they get stuck having to play Storm, they're going to be in a rough spot. They do have the cape, and obviously activating the charges on the cape will allow you to not take storm damage. However, that doesn't just fully protect you. So you got to be careful playing that edge and make sure you know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to get caught out.
And Glow's wanting to play their live reciprocal. Similar situation. We talked about those split drops. I mean, this is the loadout I'd want. I'm going to be so real right now. Max mats, all the heals you could want in the world right now. You'll find someone's got a shotgun. All right. Somebody's carrying one in the late game. You don't have to worry about that. But getting the tags to make it into those later zones where you can start to burn those mats. Reciprocal set up right now. Has everything he needs here to play out this game. Just trying to force engagements at a distance, obviously. Aoxy, a similar plan here. Plenty of heals. But trying to take a traditional approach here to get that surge taken care of. Just towering up. Trying to get a bird's eye view here on the rest of the lobby. See if anyone's willing to trade. Take some shots back and forth. Really wants this player in the tower to peek them, but they want no part of it.
I mean, truthfully, would you? I wouldn't either.
Absolutely not.
I don't want no part of it either, especially this lobby. Man, these guys are stacked. So if they're taking shots, then I'm the one avoiding them, so to speak. But listen, you're not only keeping an eye out for the players taking shots, you got to keep an eye out for all of the future PlayStation Cups coming up. Remember, players, follow Fortnite Competitive and all of PlayStation channels for updates and registration windows. Lots more information go on those socials, so make sure to stay connected, get involved, and join in a future PlayStation Cup. But talking about joining in, it is this other player to the fight as DB Chen just tries to survive.
Hanging on for the time being. Looking to secure some points here. Get them on the board. Farming back up, but only 2 builds left with Sparkle just above as well. Dangerous player to be going up against at this point in the game, but Glows. Different scenario here. As they're able to chop through the rest of these builds, grab some of the leftover scraps of a past engagement, but Glows pausing on the rotation, maybe thinking, hey, we'll take a moment, feel out the lobby before we try and move and use these dashes to get back towards the front side of this zone. Roxanne falling, see one more fall. Sparkle finding that elimination there, able to close it out. And we mentioned the lobby dropping fast. We're below 70 players at only the 3rd zone. We were having 70 players 9th zone, 10th zone in the last couple of games. It's dropping crazy quick, and I think everyone's starting to feel that.
Yep, and that's what happens. Typically, the last 2 games of the PlayStation Cup, it becomes more aggressive, right? People realize, hey, listen, I'm not in the top 10, maybe not even in the top 20. So if I want to win some of that bigger money, I have to make a play. I have to start getting aggressive. And that's what we see. It's like a light switch turn on these players' heads. They're like, yeah, eliminations, I need them all. So now everyone is fighting not only for their life, but fighting for the opportunity to take home a bigger share of that prize pool.
Yeah, a lot of times when it comes to endgame, right, things happen that are out of your control, or at least it feels like it's out of your control. So a lot of these players start to get frustrated, right? Which is totally fair. The one thing you are in control of is when you've got a player on your wall, you can take an edit and hit your shots. So that's where the aggressive play style starts to become a favorite amongst these players, because they want to try and grab control of their tournament and try and finish the way they want to. But Glows is already set up well, so still wants to try and play a little bit more passively. T. Higgins, though, a different story. Looking to chase down this player, a little bit of damage dealt by the third party, but again, knows that they will get punished greatly if they overextend too much. Will take time to pop this big pot for choosing their next move. Glows down in the vault at Supernova Academy, getting pressured here. A scary spot to be in, considering there's no way out of this bunker except through this enemy right now.
Yeah, this is going to be tough here for Glow. Remember, Glow coming into this game was in third place, so they do not want to go down at this point in the game, but grabbing control is definitely going to be what they need to do. With this other player close by, it's tough. Now, it's funny because some people would be like, oh, just break it, build around, take out the walls. This area is not as destructible as you think, folks. Some of this stuff cannot be destroyed. So you're kind of stuck at the mercy of the way that this area is set up, and you just got to hope and pray that you're not going to get caught out and end up getting eliminated, especially when you have a chance to be in first place.
Have to make every moment count in the remaining games here if you want to close it out. Aoxy, same position, doesn't take a whole lot to be shot up at contention here. So looking to try and capitalize on that. A great use to go ahead and max out that loadout for the most part. I mean, you really couldn't ask for much more here. Full heal off capabilities along with some of the best weaponry that you could possibly get right now. Just needs to make it into the zone. Surge will not be an issue in this game, I could guarantee that. So now everyone's really just looking to play their life. The one worry here, Aoxy, with the player lurking close by, is you're really not that much HP right now. Could easily be tagged if you don't realize the player's there. Seems like neither of them really had any clue. Grabbing the floppers out of the water, though, a great timed move here for Aoxy, who will get some free heals. Seems like they were able to swoop that away from the enemy. And grab some dashes. So a great move and great timing here. Just lucked out, honestly.
Yeah, you know, they lucked out, but will that luck run out? Because being this far in the storm is definitely a tough place to find yourself. You have to be careful. You can't spend too much time out here if you don't have to. Fortunately, Aoxy, of course, has everything he needs to be in the storm. But at the same time, when the zone continues to pull away, you're also at the same time not damaging other players, which is a surge problem. And you're not finding you're taking consistent damage, which uses up your resources, right? Like, these are all things that players need to keep in mind, that if they are going to play the storm, they better be ahead on some of those other factors, or it's going to be a problem.
Par is trying to manage these factors right now. Inside of Supernova Academy, the zone continues to pull this way, so everyone will have an opportunity to play out a more central zone. Par's holding on to this position here inside of the POI. Aoxy's still in this zone, having a little bit of trouble here trying to make it through Foxy Floodgate. But again, not really in desperate need of anything too crazy. Doesn't need a huge amount of mats, doesn't really need a huge amount of heals. Is set up to play time, but again, if you spend too much time in zone, you could start to be worried about storm sickness, but there is a rift down here in the bunker, so a good opportunity to just continue to cap out that loadout before opting for the rift. And maybe some of these players close by, either camping Aoxy, maybe waiting for the rift to be used before they come down themselves, but at least for now, set up well for the end game.
Here we go. DX Diff taking the fight. Not in a healthy spot whatsoever. Crew Yor, a name that at the beginning of this tournament I thought for sure would be in the top 10, has found themselves outside of it, and they're picking up the pace as well. We talked about it before. You need eliminations to finish this out strong if you're not in the top 20, and Crew Yor is hunting. Despite the lobby dropping, Surge is still active. And Aoxy, like we said before, is going to need to be mindful of Storm Surge, but he already did it. The pro mind himself is already not only above the Surge threshold, but was able to use those resources we talked about before to play the Storm and not worry about getting eliminated for several minutes in this game.
I was talking about how Surge wouldn't be a factor, but here it comes along the low there of no action. So lobby count starting to stall out just a little bit. But Aoxy is set up for this. We see some eliminations start to rack up in the feed there. Surge will disappear. Just a little warning. No one hurt too much from that. O-Block Talk, Baby Shark, all close by. Some notable names we've seen throughout this competition, all near brutal boxcars. Reciprocal still outside the zone, rocking the full heals loadout with the dashes in inventory. Again, it's a bold choice to run a one-weapon loadout, but sometimes it just works. And Reciprocal's trying to give it his all here, still holding out inside of this Surge base, waiting for the moment to use that launch pad. Glows in this zone, one charge left. Try and get these dashes situated. Looking, see if they can pick somebody off. Regular Bird here outside of Supernova Academy, where everyone is trying to hit the left foot, right foot to make it into this next zone.
Left foot, right foot, indeed. They need to get moving here and try to make some plays. But now, Glow Season basically locked in. Doesn't want to quite engage, but is like, you know what? If I'm quiet enough, maybe I won't have to worry about it. And then hits the launch. But now, of course, as I'm saying, he doesn't want to get involved. Surge hits, and he's 102 damage below. Glow, guess what? It's your time. Dive into that box and get some damage.
Set up super well here, too. Again, just below, but for the most part, really not in a bad spot. Lobby count is still starting to drop here, with majority of the lobbies still having to make their own rotate in. Josh, though, 50 below. Trying to pressure Solar just a little bit, see if what they'll do here. Glows wants try and take care of this Surge now. Doesn't want to leave it up to chance. Wanting to take care of it themselves. Zizing falling in the elimination feed. Glows looking to try and send somebody back to the lobby right now. Haunting this player on the opposite side who pops their own dashes. The attention shifted, though. Glows decides, you know what? You want to third-party me. I'm going to try and put pressure onto your box instead there. Take some top control onto Botboy Shark. Is inside the actual box, but slides through the phased wall. Little switcheroo there as both players swap positions. Just on the other side, Glows is dishing it out to anyone who wants it. These hands will go to anybody. Just on the other side, Bluish, though, now fully cracked. Glows wants to try and close it out.
I mean, he is just hunting there, looking to take anybody out that he can. He is above the threshold, but not by much. He needs more damage. He needs to find more shots to connect. But if these players continue to escape his grasp, Surge will become a problem yet again. But for Glow, he knows what he's doing. He's in the top 5, third place specifically going into this game. So he knows that not only is this game very important for his tournament, but it could be the game that puts him in first.
Doesn't need a whole lot. Glows there. Great shots with the Outlaw Shotgun. Able to dish it out where it needs to be done. And tracing this player through their builds. Finds the elimination and the confirm to put them above Surge. Doesn't want to stop at all. Glows is starting to come online. Deciding to push everyone they possibly see in sight. Now's the opportunity. If we want a W key, this lobby has dropped so quickly. There's a little bit of extra space to start to overextend on these fights. Reciprocal, though, playing full passive, still in this lobby, just enough damage to stay in the mix. On this dead side of zone, as everyone's taking the same path towards this zone as well. So it's going to be a mess on the opposite side. Baby Shark already established. Close season Still trying to get aggressive. Just decide, you know what? This box looks good. I'll slide right in. Why not? Hey, somebody else maybe. We'll box up over here. No problems at all for Glows, but the mats are starting to burn quickly.
And that's what happens here when you're too aggressive. You find yourself just running through material, running through resources. But for Glow, it didn't result in anything big, which is why you see him struggling now with materials, with heals, with only 2 weapons in his inventory. If you're this far into the end game and you only have or you have 2 open slots there's something wrong. But that doesn't matter for Glow, as he not only picked up a refresh, he picks up another elimination, which is going to be huge for him. But now he's getting focused. Lots of shots raining through. Can Glow continue to survive, or will he end up going down to the pressure?
Almost 0 materials now on ultimate low ground. It's going to be a really sketchy rotate ahead. Reciprocal now starting to try and dish out some damage. Glows just overextended a little bit too much there. That's where the lobby focus starts to come into effect, and you get punished. Reciprocal, though, that passive play style's worked out tenfold here as he continues to hold this side of the zone down, basically forcing everyone towards the opposite side. And this is exactly what you want to do. Early rotates, guide the lobby away from you. It's working out in his favor currently as we're just about to break through the top 40. 8th zone starts to close in 30 seconds, and moving zones will begin. Baby Boy Bot finding elimination on a regular bird in the feed. And Yoxi still in the mix now. Still rocking that perfect loadout. Has mobility, has heals, and has the mats to boot. We'll be trying to close this game. There are plenty in contention.
100% here as Reciprocal still stays alive in this one. Remember, Reciprocal also in the top 5 here, fighting for that top spot. And he's got a great loadout. He's got the heal off loadout, as we were talking about before. Literally 1 weapon, everything else dedicated to staying alive in Storm. So that could be the play here for Reciprocal. But for Baby Boy Bot, he needs a big game. He's only got 29 points on the tournament so far, and that is not enough to take a bigger piece of the pie. So for Baby Boy Bot, he's looking to survive. He's looking to pick up eliminations, but now he's also looking to get above Surge because he's 124 damage below.
Plenty of players now that now's the time to start getting aggressive. If you made it to this point, you have 100 mats. Now you need to start to do something about it. Baby Boy Bot following elimination feed. Sunny's still in the mix now. Reciprocal still calm, cool, and collected, taking these fights at mid to long range. Knowing he doesn't have a shotgun, has done a great job of using positioning to try and single out these players. And again, has dashes to opportunities, but the full beam, Zay,
wow,
taking Reciprocal out on the backside of zone.
That is rough there for him. He's going to go down and not in a good spot at all. But Spikehead, he's in a good spot to get into the top 20 and further potentially make his way into the top 10. He's looking to take some big shots. Nothing quite connecting. He is going to continue to heal off this, though. So it is not necessarily a bad play. But now he converts. He gets the elimination, and he continues his reign in this lobby.
Yoxi doing the same, though. 580 builds in total right now to try and close out game number 5. Holding a mid-ground layer. Again, not wanting to overextend for anything. Cruyore down on the low ground. Salt following elimination feed. But once again, it's Swax up on the high ground, taking height around that 10th zone, been executing on it consistently. And along with that, having that heal off potential here to try and close out the game. We start to see the Ravens come out here as everyone's bailing on these rotates. Yoxi making their way down towards the low ground. This is where players with no materials start to drop down low. You can pick them off when they have little to no health. A little bit of a misclick there is Yoxi triggering the Raven without a path out of the zone. Blocking 1 player off, blocking 2 players off. Trying to use their acrobatics to make their way into the zone, but that's a ton of damage dealt. Yoxi having to commit to the chug jug for now, as players are still applying pressure, but the storm is just too much.
The storm is too much, but for Swaxon, he's looking to hold high ground and bring home this game, but somebody immediately breaking him out. Crew, you are still in this one. G-Money ends up going down. Lots of action unfolding just down below. And wait, Swax opting to take the chug that early. Could be a misplay, could be genius. We'll have to wait and see how he plays out for him. As Rampant still alive here. Down low, you see. Oh, it looks like Silo going to play the Storm a bit. This is risky here. Does have the cape and may need to use it. But no, as I say that, gets a quick elimination and grants him pretty much everything he needs to continue to play this one out.
So notice the other solo there. Wasn't able to grab all the loot, but at least the elimination for then will give him just enough to make it towards the front side of this zone and try and play for the final moments here. CeeLo, only 5 builds left, really left with no options except to try and drop low ground, maybe Raven towards the front side, but you need to get into a box. I love you, Snazzy. Still up on high ground. Now the top 10. Holding on to the time being, has only metal builds left, so we'll make it a little bit more difficult for players to try and chop them out. Lowy now making it back into the zone. This player now de-elevating, trying to block off the best they can. Lowy still on low ground, one player contesting. But who has the most mats in the lobby?
Wait, we could see our first 2-game winner of the day. It is Best on Combat Pro. But no, as I say it, Lowy ends up taking him out. It's just a few players remaining. Lowy going for the heal. He plays out in Storm. Wait, neither of them have heals. They might not be able to play the heal off. It might be all over. Is it Lowy? No. I love you, Snowy. Walks away 15 HP ahead and takes home the 5th win of the day. Wow. That was a picture-perfect finish.
Dude, the one mechanic that most players forget about is the cloak. It protects you from all damage from players and from Storm, and that was the difference maker. I don't know which way the tick would have went. Honestly, I don't know which player would have ended up going down first, but the fact that they had the intuition to grab the cloak, to activate it with 1 charge left, that's the difference maker. Insane.
Huge. Made a huge difference there in that game. And fortunately for them, they're going to be able to walk away with that victory. But is it enough to shift the leaderboard in some crazy ways? We'll have to wait and see. But folks, we are just 1 game away from crowning your PlayStation Cup Fortnite victor. And honestly, it's exciting. It's tight. It's going to be a close run for the finish, as a lot of these players are just within points of one another.
It's so close. I mean, we've seen so many different ways that these players have won. We've seen heal loss. We've seen the 1v1s. We've seen Storm plays in the last second with the cloak. I mean, every single game has ended differently, and there's all different skills that these players have to have. They have to know what to do in those moments and be ready when those moments come their way. They have to be able to capitalize on it. That's the nature of the beast when it comes to solos, right? You have to have all the tools in your arsenal to be able to come out on top. And we've got so many players in contention right now. Teeny tried to make the run in the last game. It just had some problems during the early game. Contested off the rip, able to win that 1v1, but then chased down just to be taken out in the heat of the moment where they were on a roll. Dorito, similar situation, always in the end game, but taken out early. I don't know what about this game decided to cause problems with some of our top contenders, but so many of them went out early.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, truthfully. The jitters in game 5 and 6 are always toughest on the top 10, top 20. That's why you see a lot of the other players start to ramp up the aggression, right? Because they know, they're like, hey, listen, this is our last ditch effort. And then for the players in the top 10, they're like, hey, we just need to survive. We need to play this safe. And unfortunate for them, that's not a good blend between the two verticalities of mental thought. So for players like Aoxy, who find themselves in the top 10, they're just like, okay, I need to survive. But then, of course, players like some of these others we've seen who need those big points end up coming in and taking them out. But shout out to that finish. Lowy, wait, now that we saw the other perspective, Lowy misclicked or misplayed and unfortunately cost him the game. But again, I love you, Snowy. Takes home the first spot in match number 5.
With a solid number of eliminations too. I think the most we've seen is 8, which really isn't that much when it comes down to solos. And to see everyone playing consistent late game and trying to take it to the very last moment. I mean, these players are clawing to the final moments to try and close out these games. It's uber competitive. Every single game is coming down to the final moment, and it's stacking up to be a real close one. If you take a look at the leaderboard as it ticks down here in the top 10, I mean, it's really anyone's game. I was going to say inside the top 5, but honestly, the top 10. I mean, it's 60 points or a win. You pick up some eliminations along the way. There's plenty of players that have a shot at this top spot right now.
I'm going to put you guys onto something. Are you ready? Lowy going into game number 5 was not in the top 10 and is now in first place. Something to keep in mind here, folks. But now focus is on. We got Crystal FV going head-to-head against Mike 12 Montana, one of our game winners. So these two have been an interesting matchup, to say the least. Very similar in some ways, but very different in others. It looks like Mike Montana, of course, taking a bit more of the win in this matchup, hence why they're in the top 10. But look, one game remains. Who will be the winner of the PlayStation Cup? Well, we are just moments away from finding out as we prepare the battle bus for one final journey here today for this region, and we are excited to see who could potentially walk away the champs of NA. Ben, we've had 5 games. I have my prediction now to the win, but you don't have to wait any longer. Let's dive in. Final game. Let's talk predictions. I think I know who's going to win, but I'm going to let you say it first. Who do you think walks away the champ?
You know, if I have to bet on anything, and I'm not a betting man, but I'd put my money on Teeny right now. I have to do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the resume behind the player and where they are on the leaderboard right now, I think they can do it.
You know, truthfully, I was leaning Teeny going into that game, but I think off of the performance alone from that last game, Glow wins. I think we could see a massive comeback for Glow season and Glow walk away the champ. So I'm going to say it. I think Glow is potentially going to walk away with this victory, but it comes down to this, folks, as now we're in the final game and the final chance for these players to put the points on the board.
We see our game number 5 winner there. First to order base, a solid drop spot. One of those weird ones where the POI takes up a lot of space, but the loot's very spaced out. So if you know how to loot it, it could give you a massive advantage. But if you don't know how to loot it and you don't know your way around, it can cause some real problems for you. So if you have a good game plan going into your drop spot, just like any drop spot, you can execute on it. You're going to be set up well. And honestly, to see Glows landing at Supernova Academy, I'm not sure if we'd seen them off spawn too much, but I'm very impressed to see they've been consistently landing here. It is contested by one player, but they seem to be splitting for the most part here. Glow's able to go ahead and secure the trials here down to the bottom. That'll give them high tier loot to start off, but Aoxy, a similar situation here. Foxy Floodgate, uncontested, but again, having to be careful here moving through the tunnels to make sure there's no one camping.
Careful and concise. That's the important thing here as they play it out. Teeny, though, picking up an elimination on the noise. That's going to be one of our big players that we've kept an eye on there, going down very early in the final game. Unfortunate in there for their run, but nevertheless, another point on the board there for Teeny. As we talked about moments ago, he is in contention to win it all. So is Aoxy, but players like Alex are still in the fold as well. We'll have to keep close tabs and see who could potentially walk away with it. But I'm getting word, 5th place going into this game, Dorito has been eliminated. That is one of your top 10 players out here in the final match.
It's rough to see, but anything can happen going into these last couple of games. It's solos. We know what solos is. It is the most punishing game mode. The smallest of small mistakes can be the end of your tournament run. And we see a top competitor exit the match just like that. Aloe still in the mix here. Try and hold on to it. Trying to stay at the top of this leaderboard. To close the game out, close out the entire tournament, I should say. But has plenty of other players to get through first. 81 still alive here. Spike and Wyver going head-to-head at Shiny Shafts for the 6th game in a row. So they need big points to work their way up this leaderboard.
So, obviously, the matchup that we've talked about, right? Our predictions to win it all. Teeny versus Glow. These two are going to be a big talking point here in the final game. Spike had taken this fight, though. Real quick, as I switch the focus to him, he tries to survive, but no, he's going to go down. Mr. Free UK Queasy also playing on the back foot of a fight here. We'll get back to that point in a second, but let's let Free Queasy. Oh no, Free Queasy ended up taking a lot of damage. He tries to heal up, but now the focus is coming in from another angle. No builds remain. The spray comes in. He hopes to hold on, and he finds a way to break out, but no, 1 HP in a dream, and I can only imagine this could be the end of his games. And there it is.
Yeah,
now,
when you edit down like that, you just have to be aware where your own builds are, you know?
But you know, the panic drop, we've all done it, right? So, but now back to the point where I was making before. Teeny, obviously your pick to win it all. Glow, my pick to win it all. So I want to talk about a little bit about the differences in their performances up to this point in the tournament. Average eliminations goes to Glow, right? Total eliminations goes to Glow. That's a no-brainer. Glow's been more active. Teeny's been more precise with placement, and also has a win under his belt, whereas Glow doesn't. The real interesting factor is they both have the same average placement, which is 26. But one has gotten more placement points, and that's because of the impact and the difference between first and fourth and first and 10th on the leaderboard, because that first place spot comes with so many additional points. So something to keep in mind here as these games continue to press on.
That's where you look at like different play styles, right? Glow is very consistent. Teeny's very hot and cold. It just comes down to this last game where is Teeny going to come out hot or is he going to come out cold? It really depends, and only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Glow looking to stay consistent here. Probably could have won the 1v1 at Supernova, but opted to rotate away instead. Just decides, hey, I'm going to go look for tags on a third party rather than a full head-to-head. And it seems to be paying off here as Glow's on hot pursuit here, trying to get into this player's box. Looks for the phase through, but they're going to elevate themselves back up, just claiming more space. Glow's still putting pressure on and straight into the box, hitting almost every single bullet. The Panic Raven will come through there. That'll give him just a second to try. They give extra space, but Glow's still chasing, trying to find that last and final shot to take out the player, and straight into the box they do. But, Panda, I know you're hearing the news that I'm hearing, and it sounds like Teeny might have been eliminated early.
Wow, this is huge, folks. Teeny's going to be out of this one. Remember, Teeny wasn't even in first place going into that final game, so that means he is not in contention to win anymore, folks. That means this run that we're seeing from Glow could be the winning run.
Could be the championship run here to take home that first place spot in the PlayStation Cup, but only time will tell. Yoxi, again, fourth place going into this game, still needs to try and hold on. Lowy still in this game trying to hold on. We have to watch these names and watch them closely, especially when Glow is getting this aggressive early on and taking big chunks of damage. Tony being the aggressor here to try and chase down Glow off of a third party from that last fight. Both players dealing significant damage to each other. Glow knows, hey, I'm in a spot here where I do not need to be fighting anybody. Wants to disengage, use those mobility items, and get out of dodge.
Wait, this is interesting, though. It looks like Tony's now getting involved in the fight. This could be perfect for Glow. The attention's off him. These two now fight. He can heal up and get back into the fight, and that's exactly what he's going to do, spraying into the box there. You see him trying to connect some shots where he can, but now another player in the distance potentially getting in the fold, so he just opts to go ahead and cloak out, but not without taking some damage there, as this other player doesn't want to leave him alone.
Glow's frantically trying to get these players to leave him alone. Apparently they don't get the message. He really doesn't want any part of this. as the player above still chopping through. Glow's having to give up top control here, and it's still Tony chasing them down. Not gonna let Glow's get away scot-free here, but Glow's has a lot of heals. Still gonna go ahead and pop the Raven to rotate away, give Tony another opportunity to disengage. Glow's is a confident fighter. We've seen that by the stats breakdown, but the problem here is Glow's just needs those placement points to stay in the mix.
He also just doesn't have the material to continue to fight. So if he was in a healthier spot, sure, right? Like, take the fight, you win the fight, you get his material, you continue moving on. But no, you can't continue to risk it. So for him, the smart play is just stay alive. But for players like Aoxy, who aren't too far off from the top, their play is to get as many points as they can. They want to be the disruptor here. And all it takes is a win and a few eliminations to do that.
An Instinct just getting pressured uncontrollably here, really on the back foot there, connecting one final shot and the opportunity to get the shotgun reloaded. That's the gap they needed. Instinct taking down Roxanne to take the Mythic Spire Rifle and some extra heals on top of that. We'll have a nice spot here on the dead side of the zone. Aoxy, however, still cooking, trying to look for tags across the landscape here. Again, most of these players who are in contention, if they're able to take home a win for first place, they're all going to be trying to play like this. They're going to keep their distance. They don't want to take box fights where a player could bail out on them and hit them for 180 damage in one single click. They'd rather take the bloom fights where they're comfortable in their aim and they can take these long range shots. So if they do get tagged hard, they can box up, have time to heal before the player can close the distance.
Here we go, though. Ruli there in the distance. He's an aggressive player as well. Aoxy just trying to stay alive and play this one smart. That's what you love to see here from him. But Lowy, who again was first place going into this game, still alive and still kicking. So lots to still play out for in this one. It's going to be hard to tell if any one player does have an advantage. However, Lowy doing exactly what he needs to and just staying out of sight.
Laying super low right now. Only 2 med miss smoke grenades for heals, but to be honest, if you can make it into endgame at this point, where the lobby's dropping off fast, you can almost guarantee yourself a refresh in the late game if you can just play your life and you hold on to that mobility. Aoxy, however, again, caught off guard a little bit. Player close by now, but a box fight is not the fight that Aoxy wants to take. Wants to tag these players in the distance, maybe make a rush if he could tag somebody hard, but for the most part, just get the damage and get out. And Aoxy will just be peeking through this cone as we watch the elimination feed roll through. Ace falling, Tony falling. We saw Tony getting aggressive early on, trying to put shots onto Lowy or Glows, sorry. But now it seems like Lowy's starting to come online here. Maybe sees an opportunity.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad thought there from him, but he's like, you know what? This game's too valuable. I'm not going to worry about it, but I'll watch. I'll make sure to keep an eye on what's going on. But no, now another player there in the distance, going to take some shots there at Lowy. Lowy now kind of playing a little more defensive, having to use some of those resources and back to the bush. Truthfully, he doesn't need to move. He's in a good spot on the map. He's not having to worry about Storm closing in on him, at least until the next zone. And from here, he can just kind of play passively and maintain his resources as needed. But if he continues to try to move out of this spot, there's 3 or 4 players that are ready to focus him. And if he's not careful, he will be the focus of those shots. So smart play just to go back to the bush, hang out for a little bit. On the opposite end, though, Glow on a slower side here of the zone, only 1 player in sight. And with him being able to kind of take a back seat and a back step to what's going on, he should be able to keep people from popping up on his back. When you play the edge of zone like this, you ultimately have a bit of an advantage where you don't have to worry about other players kind of closing in on you.
And keep your back to the zone. Just make sure you clear it. Then you only have to worry about the 180 degrees in front of you. Lowy, though, back to playing this bush. Really doesn't want to give it up. These new bushes that we've seen in the last chapter or two are a super big advantage. to players who are trying to be a little bit more passive. It's basically that, or you build a tower like Aoxy. We do see Kruyar all in the elimination feed there. They'll be sent back to the lobby. That'll be the end of the PlayStation Cup for them. A couple names still in the mix here, trying to make something happen. Aoxy holding on to this high ground position. One player close by. As the zone continues to close, this lobby will get more and more tightly knit as everyone gets better acquainted. The island's in the mix now. Players hopping in rifts to try and take these high ground positions. Aoxy trying to connect on some of these shots, but again, it's hard with this weapon. You have to lead your shots. It has that bullet velocity, so it's a little bit more difficult than something hit scan.
Yeah, the evolution of rifles have been pretty exciting the last couple seasons, but for players like Arctics, they're not worried about the rifle. They're worried about survival. As Reciprocal just above him, he peeks, he's targeted, and he knows that. That's why you see him just gathering some intel through the cone. For the players at home and the people at home that don't know, when you hold an edit on a cone up top, you have the visual see-through of the build. So even though the build is there, you can see straight through it, and they can't see you. So just a little pro insight while watching the PlayStation Cup. Brought to you by Panda, Ben K, and PlayStation.
Love to hear it. Lowy seems to have repositioned here. Gave up on the bush. I respect it. It was a little bit scary, I'm going to be honest with you. Especially now where so many of these players are trying to play for the end game in the last set of moving zones. It's very easy to have a player box up right next to you and you don't want to be anywhere near them. So sometimes hiding inside of buildings or bushes are not your best option versus just boxing up somewhere that's a little bit more isolated in the zone. Glows is doing just that though. Sitting inside this cone just outside of the building. I'm sure they're aware of each other. Neither of them really want a piece. Glows looking to hold on here and make that run for that top spot. Lowy and Glows, Aoxy are going to be the three names you're going to want to watch out for in this end game here, because it's almost fully dependent on who goes down first and who the winner will be of the tournament today. Considering how close these points are, Lowy has a little bit of a lead here, just broaching on that 200-point spot. But again, it's so close.
So close, yet so far away, as we still have 7 zones to play. And while those final zones will go quickly, the pressure mounting on the shoulders of these players only makes it feel like it's dragging longer and longer, especially for players like Glow, who has to be at this point in second place. So with this being such a close in and close wrap up to the event, there's so much on the line. The pressure is mounting. Will these players be able to keep it together? That's the real question as we watch this zone close in.
And those top 3 spots, we're talking about thousands of dollars. And the difference could be 1, 2, 3 points in the end. I mean, there are so many contenders and the points were so close going into last game that literally every single point counts. If you're able to get that one shot onto someone in zone, if you're able to get that one more placement point, whatever it is, to get 1 or 2 more points is going to make all the difference in the long run for the entire lobby right now. Alex, though, connecting on some great shots here as half the lobby about to fall in. Lowy now making their own rotation into this zone now, taking a little bit of damage from the players above. Again, only the med miss to heal back up, so Lowy's going to be on the hunt for some shield. Will need some, in fact, to probably make it through the rest of this end game here. It's starting to get a little bit scary. Most of these buildings, like that have loot, the chests, the ammo boxes, are going to be all scavenged through. There's really not much left, so Lowy can check, but really might be forced to take a fight they're not comfortable with if they're going to need that shield.
Here it is, Lowy going to take a shot. He does connect one, but it's not enough damage to comfortably start the fight. He goes ahead and disengages. And man, That is just more of the excitement that come from PlayStation Cups. But guess what? Outside of the PS Cup, PlayStation tournaments are integrated into a wide range of genres like fighters, shooters, and sports. Signing up from your PS5 console is seamless and easy. If you want to learn more, go to compete.playstation.com to find out more about PlayStation Cups and PlayStation tournaments in general. Now, back to this PlayStation Cup as Loey, our first place contender, stays alive for moments longer.
Holding on. Again, didn't lose any shield from that little jab at the player trying to rotate, but again, it's starting to get real scary. He's on the congested side of zone, has some rotation items, but these are really not the zones that you want to be using them on. You want to save those for the moving zones, that 10th, 11th, those 9th zones. Because right now, like you can see it, Aoxy really just trying to walk through these zones as best they can and save those materials wherever possible.
Here it is, though. Aoxy, not too far out there, potentially in third place, actually, at this point. So it really comes down to this. Loey, Glow, Aoxy. Who can take the first place spot? The excitement is on here for these final moments when stories break out like this. It is so close, but no, as I say that, Loey taking a lot of damage. He's not protected from behind. He doesn't realize it. They're now quickly getting healthy again, but does not have shield. He needs to be careful. This could be a tough rotation for him. The moment he comes out of this form, he could end up being the target of the lobby. So now he needs to hold on. He needs to play smart. And there it is. Shots are starting to rain in. If he's not careful, because he has no shield, it'll only take a few shots to take him out of this one.
He's utility dumping too. Just using everything he has to try and stay alive. See a little bit of panic here, I can't lie. Loey, usually looking very calculated at each and every move, is starting to look a little bit frantic. But again, the pressure's mounting, and that's on everyone in the lobby right now. It's just a matter of who can execute in those moments when it counts. And Aoxy is set up super well here. 740 mats, 71 builds here to try and play the end game. Same situation with Loey, but the difference is they have heal. Aoxy has heals and Loey does not. So Loey's going to have an uphill battle here as we enter the end game here. We'll get a better look here at that first moving zone as it's going to pull fully out across dead side, across the vast majority of this zone. So everyone's got a long ways to go. Aoxy having no utility to try and get through this zone safely. He's going to have to burn some materials. Maybe can recycle some dashes from a player if they throw down their sprite. But for the most part, might just end up having to burn tons of mats.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the way this one plays out. But for Grims, they're still trying to fight for at least a couple bucks more as they can get into a top spot. But Aoxy, oh no, getting caught out. Takes a lot of damage here. Remember, this is one of our top three. Needs to take a back foot and heal. But it's Ruli. Ruli is one of the most aggressive. And no, Loey goes down. That's first place, down and out. Aoxy now needs to hold on more than ever if they want a chance to win.
Aoxy had about a 20-point deficit from first place coming into this game. Loey able to secure a decent amount of placement points coming into this game 6, but Aoxy still has a ways to go. Needs to make sure they can execute on the rest of this game, but is taking a ton of punishment from this lobby right now. Needs a moment to pop these minis before they make the rest of their way in. Grim's falling elimination feed. Arctic's hyper falling elimination feed. Aoxy trying to go unnoticed here on this right side. Barely looking for real estate, possibly on the low ground where they won't get paid attention to, so they can heal back up to full.
This is going to be rough here as Aoxy just tries to survive. He's trying to do anything he can to maintain life here in the final moments of the game, but with so much left on the table, there's so many players competing for the same thing, and Glow is at the top of that list. Glow is the top contender to take first place, with the Aoxy being the second contender, as long as all goes to plan. But you know as well as I do, Fortnite rarely ever goes to plan here as the Glow continues to move into zone. He continues to fight for just a moment longer, but fortunately for him, Surge won't be a problem.
Glow's is set up super nicely here to try and take them out. And really, I said it was a larger point threshold than I thought. That's based off placement. It's less than 20 points from first to fifth, so it's really anyone's game. The last moving zones of the PlayStation Cup here. Glows trying to hold on, now breaking through that 200-point threshold. Has the gauntlet, has the cape in inventory to try and make these rotates. A Yoxi finding the time to heal back up and enough materials to box up one time, but there's the lobby focus. Some damage is dealt, but is it enough? A Yoxi has to drop down to low, has no option but to fully scramble here. Hiding behind any corner they can, but a player drops down to low ground. Now they're going to edit out. A Yoxi Mental's up and gets taken out. Crystal, the one to do it. Glows now needs to try and close the show.
All Glow needs to do is survive. That is it, and he can win it.
He
but
knows
remember, there's top 5 players that are still close on your heels, Glow. You don't have this win yet. Make sure to do everything in your power to stay in it, stay connected as everyone around you tries to take it from you.
Reciprocal still in the mix, though, with only a 30-point deficit to first place, so Glows is definitely not out of hot water yet. Still needs to put on a bit of a show here to try and secure top 5, where those placement points start to tick up. We see Higgins and Pars fall in the elimination feed. Glows is still moving through this zone. Only Wood left, though. 180 builds. Throwing emotes left and right, but it's definitely not cemented yet. Alex now looking to try and hold players out on the low ground. Connects onto one. Grabbing some of those siphon mats and at least a shield to keep them in this mix. Zizing falling as well. Glows moving back towards the front side of zone with only 180 builds left. Enough for 2 more boxes. Still emoting, but Reciprocal still in this lobby. Electro still now up on the high ground, pressuring down. Alex on the ultimate low, just trying to brawl to find that one last refresh.
Both Alex and Reciprocal are within range. They can end up taking away first place from Glow. So if Glow's not careful and they continue to thrive, that will be a problem for Glow. So Glow needs to lock in here for these next final moments if they want to secure the win.
I don't think anyone realized how close it really was coming into game 6, and Glows is not at all safe here. Knows that those dual revolvers do so much damage to the builds there. Tries to dive straight in. Full 0 mats. Now that outlaw shotgun. This is where it packs a punch. Trying to deal damage here in that back end of zone. No mats. Popping the gauntlet to try and move back towards the front side. Maybe there's a box they can fly into. Is able to do so, but the player's up and out. The ramp flip is there. The shots don't connect. It's too close to call. Alex now is on a generational run to try and take home the PlayStation Cup. And their share of $4,000 for that first place spot. Tons of damage in zone. They will fall
and
as
Alex
well.
Is out.
Who is left in this?
Wait, this is close. It's going to be so close down to the wire here for the final players. Who knows who walks away? Glow barely held a lead over Alex, so it's not to say that's over yet, but DK still alive in this one, going to go ahead and try to fight the players down below. Electro still in this one too. Lots still to play for here, folks, as Ruli is just on a tear through this lobby. The eliminations raining through here for Ruli. If Ruli wins the game too, that could be a big shift. And there, wait, Jargu, 209 points. A win in elimination is over. That's all they need to take first place. That's why it's so significant that they stay alive here. The placement points are everything. DK goes down. Jargu gets the elimination. It's 218. That's 1 point away. The win here secures them everything.
Jargu dashing back into the zone to maybe look for some old loot, but again, second place is secured. Who's gonna have enough health? Jargu able to edge it out off the heel off, comfortable enough. Decided that's gonna be it for them. Jargu might have just done it with that final move to dip into the zone. Panda, it's way too close to call. Jargu was 9th place going into that game. If he managed to do it, I mean, that's absurd. That's absurd.
Okay. So he was.
I'm too bad at math for this. I'm too bad at math.
Place. There is a chance that win secured him the win overall. We'll have to wait and see. We'll wait until the leaderboard is ready. But man, what a finish there for Jargu, and what a final game of the PlayStation Cup. That was absolutely insane. For the folks at home, you cannot say you were not entertained.
I don't know what it is about you and me getting on the mic or something, man, but I swear PlayStation provides, man. Like, these games were incredible, start to finish, down to the final moments. We talked about characters. You cannot count anyone out in these lobbies. Jargoo went on an insane run to try and close the game. Glows played textbook start to finish. It's just such small moments that made all the difference.
The small moments walk away with the big wins, and that could very well be the case for Jargoo. It was so close there, and it's so unfortunate for Loey and some of these others to go down in the way they did. They were all in contention there in the final moment, but that's the beauty of this format. This format allows for it to be so close and exciting there in the final moments. Here it is, Glowy in the box trying to survive, and no, does look like Glowy potentially going down with 217 points. We will confirm, and if that's the case, then Jargoo potentially walked away with it. But on the flip side, Snowy with a win and elimination could have also flipped the table. So it is crazy how close it came down to, but let's figure it out. Match 6, your number one person, of course, the winner, Jargoo, with a couple eliminations, walking away with a total point of 66, Snowy 65, and DK with 61. That's the match results, folks, but we really want to know who is the winner. And I got word, our top 10 is ready. We will know now who walked away the PlayStation Cup victor. It is none other than Jargoo winning by the skin of his teeth in the final moments.
He actually did it. Jargoo, we honestly counted him out up until the final game. We saw so many players break into that top 10 spots, that 200-point threshold, and Jargoo continued to stay consistent, rose to the occasion, hit their shots in the final moments, and was able to pull out a win. A massive congratulations to all that competed today. We saw huge shifts on the leaderboard, start to finish. Game 5 and 6 delivered beyond belief. And we even saw Snowy there shooting way up the leaderboard, outside of the top 10. Air into the top 3, but Jargoo pulling it out for the PlayStation Cup champion.
And it just shows you how important the win is and how important those placement points are. Being in the top 5, being in the top 3 makes such a dramatic jump. It doesn't matter about the eliminations. It doesn't matter about the other things. No, it matters about the win. And that's what makes this format so exciting, because anybody can walk away winning it all. So congratulations to Jargoo taking home the PlayStation Cup champion crown. You earned it, man.
Huge congratulations to everyone that competed today. To make it through all 6 games of solo competition, especially at this level, I would have rage quit. I'm gonna be so real. I would have rage quit. I can't finish 6 games of solos in pubs. But 6 games, qualifiers to even make it to this competition today. If you made it to this stage of competition, you're the top 100 players on PlayStation Fortnite right now. That's insane to say. And to make it to this point, to know that you're taking home some cash regardless of how you perform, congratulations to everyone. And again, congratulations to Jargoo.
Hey, listen, and a huge shout out to this guy for hanging out by my side on the mic all day. It's been a fun day, but of course, the biggest shout out goes to PlayStation Tournaments and hosting this incredible PlayStation Cup for all of you at home. Make sure to get ready and check out PlayStation or compete.playstation.com for more information on upcoming events. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It has been an absolute blast. And until next time, we'll see you on the Battle Bus.